Okay, so today it looks like they introduced hardcore sort of officially. I think I saw some rumblings about this before, but I thought it would take them a long time to do it. It was kind of ironic. When I started this, like I started in, let's say, January with this particular run. So I had referenced back to when I had done this years ago, many years back, where I just did it normally because, permadeath runs are just something I do a lot of games. So there was no need for, there was no mod, add-on, whatever at the time. There was no need for it. So when I started doing that in January, I didn't have it. I didn't really pay attention to it. But people kept telling me, oh, you should use it. You should use it. So I got to like level 6, but then I restarted and said, okay, fine, I'll do it using the add-on. Now, midway through, I guess because it's taken me so long to do it, and I do it slow pace and once a week and just for a couple hours, it's meant to be sort of a slow, immersive type of series. But basically, I started off without the add-on, then I used the add-on. Now it's going to be like, oh, now you should use this. So like, how many gimmicks do you need to just do a permadeath run? It's like with a speed run, just do the fucking speed run. Like, so the fact that it's on video kind of validates it, but I don't know whether I should update the add-on or whether I should, I don't know if it'll let you use this with an existing character. I'll actually probably try to update it, but they got all this new interface and stuff. Like, wow, Blizzard is really behind the 8 ball. This is something they could have done in the first place. Like, we thought we did, but we didn't. Like, it's such a simple thing. Social contract, hail traveler, and welcome to the world of Warcraft. Azeroth is a living world full of people like you. Or maybe I should start a new character and take a break from. You know what, dude? I have half a mind to actually do that because, well, let me see if I can update that on because I don't know what I'm really even doing with this, but that would be kind of weird. Because, like, even I would say, okay, I might do another one. I want to do one of like every class, but it'd be like down the road, and who knows what they're gonna do. I was almost half worried they might just delete all these servers because who knows? There's no guarantee what they might do. They just do random stuff. Full of players like you, a lot of bots, mostly dead servers, backgrounds, cultures, experiences, histories who have all come together to play WoW. No, they're all the same lame brain, nitwit, bonehead, borrowed knowledge, streamer bait, exposure, Andy, cult of personality trash. Want to play the game the same way, speed run, egotistically, acting like they're proving something. You're not a rank 1 PvP, or you're not a world first raider. Even if you were, it's old content. It's all just garbage, wiki, thoughtbot, add-ons. Like, this is what they are. There's no diversity in thought. They're a hive mind clowns. That's totally how I feel about the community. Experiences and histories have all come together to play the game, to min-max and just speed run through it and then complain that, oh, well, there's nothing to do. It's so easy because we use hindsight and borrowed knowledge. Every player deserves to be in a world they feel safe in, so please take a minute to read our social contract. Well, on Azeroth, do your best too. And a lot of this doesn't matter because if you were playing on a PvP server, you can be as degenerate as you want. Or that's kind of what I dislike. Is you can protect streamers in the sense like, okay, somebody griefs you and summons an infernal that kills you in Goldshire, right, and that ends your hardcore run. That's fair to ban people for that. But like the whole advertise Asmongold thing, I was actually more on advertise's side because he's going through so much trouble and difficulty to creatively attack this guy in a world PvP open environment. He has to do all these badass things, and he came up with awesome tricks and strategies. So it's like the sort of thing you would dream of. Like, look at how much he has to do. He's like this opposing horde general who's coming up with these amazing tactics to try to take down this big general in Asmongold or whatever. Like this big personality with all these people trying to help him. So at that point, you have to take the good with the bad on a PvP server. It's like, that's actually kind of cool that he's doing that, but then it looks like, oh, he's griefing. But he's so good at PvP and coming up with these things that he's bypassing whatever protection and skill set you might have. So that part of behavior I kind of like, but connect with other players and make friends, being courteous in a group content. Well, we're not doing group content, so it doesn't matter. I'm just so intrigued by this. Yeah, maybe today will be a skip episode because it's kind of late. My mouth is kind of hurting. I'm in kind of a bad mood anyway, so maybe I won't actually continue this. We'll put, well, that fucks up my title then, but I just don't even really feel like doing anything. And we'll make a mage and we'll do like no, I'll just do it normally, but connect with other players. Being courteous in a group can help you and your teammates have the best time possible. Sending a friendly hello message. Yeah, I used to sort of spam people in that way too. You can't find a group, so just /shoot everybody within the level range and copy paste. Hey, you want to do this dungeon? And that would work pretty well, actually. Play as a team with your fellow players, but that's like an original WoW, almost. Whether in dungeons, raids, battlegrounds, arenas, or yeah, there are no arenas in this, but or at questing in the world, do your best to support the team through your communication behaviors. You can celebrate. It took them 20 years to come up with this message, eh? Assist other players, show what a shitty community it is, maybe like it's a self-tell. Wow, the community gets so boneheaded that we end up here. Or this is like some sort of streamer protection. If you're a big streamer, we'll ban people without question who do anything to you ever, even if it's by accident or even if it's just creative use of game mechanics and in some sort of organic positive way. Assist other players you encounter in the world. Actually don't do that because there's a sense of integrity. This is meant as a single player hardcore type of run where, you know, if you help me, it's actually bad. Don't heal me, don't, you know, buff me, stuff like that. Maybe they need some help defeating a tough monster, or maybe they could use a little healing, or maybe they have a sense of honor and they want to do it on their own. Because yeah, imagine how annoying that would be. I've had so many brushes with death, but I've been alone in those moments. What if somebody healed me? Then it would ruin it. Like, I guess I would count it. Like, oh, well, but see, maybe I would have gotten away. It's hard to tell. I've had like really tight moments. Help answer questions other have in chat channels like general trade. Yeah, use all your wiki borrowed knowledge and act like you're smart. That's one of the people's favorite things to do. Haven't you ever played chess? We were all newbies once. One person offering help. You go a long way. We recognize that the internet is not always a safe haven. With that in mind, please note the following behaviors are not accepted. Hate speech, including... Yeah, let's test this as an example. I hate you, period. Is that hate speech? Including negative comments that target another player's identity, including aspects like race, gender, or ability is fair. That's called meritocracy, dude. What's wrong with you? You suck. I'm kicking you from the group because you're not good. And we're doing this to try to succeed. What's wrong with that? Some of the best content in WoW's history was like that. Some raid leaders bitching at people getting mad in Ventrilo and stuff. You know, all these kind of... I forget the guy's name. Or whatever, like that stupid Onyxia guild. Harassment, threats. Yeah, does that mean they're encouraging? Yeah, Blizzard's a hypocrite here. Contradiction moment. They use that guy, more dots, right? Leroy Jenkins and all this kind of stuff. Raid leader, right? Hit it very hard. So does that mean they're encouraging and condoning that type of harassment and terrible behavior that, oh my goodness, this guy was so mean to his guild and he was yelling at them and cursing at them, but then they give him a tribute in Hearthstone. So does that mean they agree with that and validate it or not? Harassment, threats, abusive, derogatory language and behavior, spamming advertising, or other disruptive behaviors. Well, you have to advertise in the sense of trying to sell stuff in trade chat, but obviously it means like third-party stuff. If you harm your fellow adventurers with any of the above behaviors, you're subject to punishment up to and including suspension of your account. And this is lovely to have this now, but I'm sure people have been banned already. I assume the reason why, like I'm not really in the loop with anything to do with WoW, but it's like they probably did this because people were complaining like, wow, I got banned for doing something involving a streamer that I didn't even know they were streaming, or it wasn't my fault, or I wasn't trying to grief them, or it's not fair. So now they're putting this here like, oh, you know, this justifies it. That's the only reason why they would care. They never cared before. It's a big world out there with all sorts of people. Please try to be respectful. If you ever feel like somebody's acting against the code, please report behaviors. Yeah, I would only report somebody for trying to help me too much, which I can understand. Like, there should almost be an option to disable friendly interactions if you want. So, like, people can't heal you, they can't res wouldn't matter. They can't heal you, they can't buff you, stuff like that. Even on a PvE server, that could be some functionality you have. Not only to prevent PvP interactions, but even PvE in like a friendly sense, helping you. It's kind of hard to stop them from attacking the same target as what you're doing, though, because that's kind of, you know, you can only do that if you're in a group. They can add all sorts of functionality like that. If you ever feel like, please report them. We can look into it together. You can help make it a safe home. Do they really feel the need to commit resources like this to Classic when it's already supposed to be dead in so many ways? I don't know what all this means. Like, are there going to be certain servers that are hardcore? Like, how does it work? If I make a new character, will that count as hardcore? Body 1, body 2. Oh, here we go, dude. Here we go. But you're still reaffirming the duality of it and saying there's only 2 body types. That's so uninclusive, Blizzard. What a horrible thing. Like, they try to sidestep one thing, but then you walk right into another. It's so idiotic. But no, like, what is the hardcore thing? Maybe I should read it. just so randomly they decided to do this, but I did hear about it at least before. How do you see this? Oh my god. World of Warcraft Classic Hardcore. Are you brave enough to accept the ultimate challenge? Classic Hardcore, new mode. Yeah, a new mode. Did you know that you can play games in permadeath? Like, it's just so... Did you know you can speedrun the game? Wow, what a cool new idea that is. I bet we need a mod for it. I don't really understand, though. How do you do it? I guess I'll just watch in the background. We'll just sit here the whole episode. Not even gonna do anything. It's like there's this is like tell me you're out of touch by telling me you're out of touch by actually saying it. Like, wow, what a cool thing. And that shows you even the community is out of touch with just it was an option of something you could do the whole time, just like everything else. But no, there's only one. So how do you do it though? I don't get it. Imagine getting a max level and then dying your first raid. But that doesn't matter. The whole point is getting the max level. This guy's saying first raid attempt. That's stupid. The point is just to get to max level and do it almost as if it was a single player experience, or at least that's my interpretation of it. Let me look up some stuff here. Hardcore classic. They're even calling it that exactly. What does it mean? Access to the August 24th. New hardcore realms. Okay, so you'd have to be on a different server altogether. I guess I would have to update the mod. I just don't want to ruin the whole run by, you know, people will say, where does it even say that though? I'm so confused. Oh, it's in here. Defies Pillager, hardcore normal, skull rock. Now, what would be so special about this? Like just the fact that the functionality, this sort of shows you the gimmickry that I'm talking about. You don't need hardcore servers. You don't even need the add-on. You don't even need to stream it or record it. You can just do it because you want to do it. Imagine that. But that goes against the whole, no, you have to show off and like, oh, look how good I am. Like, oh my God. It's not a big deal, dude. Yeah, it would be interesting in a rating context, but that's basically unrealistic. No matter how perfect and metagame you think you are, you know, wiping and raids is kind of just a normal thing. It's not, I wouldn't expect to do it there. So I could mess around with that, but I actually won't. What I'll do is, let me try to update my add-on, I guess. I guess I wasn't expecting this to ever be updated because it is classic anyway. And you know what kind of disturbed me was when BC, I didn't even play BC at all, like, but when BC came out, and then as soon as Wrath came out, they got rid of the BC servers. Like, they wouldn't just keep one around just to have it be playable. Like, it's such a inconvenience for them. Just keep one consistent server for all of them. At least this has several. So I don't know whether that means, does it support what's happening now? Supports classic hardcore. I don't know if that means like what's happening right now. Let me actually I don't know what's going on. So that hopefully is up to date because I'm not going to play on another server. Although what I should do is let me make a character maybe. Assuming I can get there. Can result in wait to play. Wait, what are the two? Defies Pillager and what? Only 2 servers, huh? Skull Rock. What I would make here is actually what we could do for our next one. Let's actually see how long it takes. I'll just make a character and have the name. Less than a minute. Free character migration is available. I don't even want to do that though. Like, why even bother? We have a nice peaceful dead server to ourselves. The only thing that's not dead on the server is me. Ha ha ha. Just the fact that, imagine like I'm letting my title dictate it. I wouldn't mind making another character, but it's like it's gonna take me so long to do this series anyway that no, I'll go back to my original 60 character and my only 60 character during Classic in its original run, which was a human mage. And you might think, why do a mage again? But the only reason is because I never did a permadeath run of it. But I also wanted to do some other hardcore condition with it, like or like a class, create your own class. Like I can only use arcane spells, and so somehow we'll only use arcane missiles, arcane explosion, and that might be it. Like it'll be restrictive in some way, in the same way that we're doing like a survival melee only hunter. Now of course we were allowed to have a pet and we can use items and engineering bombs and stuff, but it maybe looks a little bit older than mine would have. But what's a good name here we could do? Yeah, this will basically be a tribute to my old just so we have it as a placeholder, like, okay, we're on this server and this will be here for years to come. So this will be our next series that we won't really do immediately after this, because I don't know that I always want Thursday for the rest of my life to be this WoW slot. Not that I have anything against it, but that I typically don't like doing series back to back like that. This whole series was almost meant to be my definitive, like, final, swan song love letter to the WoW period. Like, I thought it might be the last time I ever do something like this, but if it's gonna stick around, that's fine. Pay $15 for the rest of your life just to be able to play this game, and I wouldn't even mind doing it, but they still find a way to mess it up because they don't have the will to have all the, like, how hard would that be? Have all the expansions be playable at any point? Like, you always have Mist of Pandaria, you always have Cataclysm. It doesn't mean you have to support it like so much, like you have one server for each, and they might all be dead, but how hard is it when, clearly you already have the game made? You just have to host a server for it. It's not that expensive. That's where fans sort of spit in the face of that. Not that I'm encouraging fans to have servers like that up and whatnot, but basically what that means is, I guess most people would probably migrate, but I find a certain niche in not doing that. So I'll wait till this is dead too, which will just take about a month because everybody will speed run through it. And I guess with a game like this, you got to realize that people will do it like people will do it in such a way that it's like the one game they play, and they'll play it all day, every day, and that kind of thing. Let me try to think of what is a good name. I don't want to use the same one that I used back in the day, but that's a good RP name. I've been kind of warning. Welcome to WoW Classic Hardcore Realms. Any character that dies on Hardcore Realm can never resurrect on that realm for any reason. Customer support cannot resurrect a dead hardcore character. Like, what, you don't think we have integrity and a sense of honor that we wouldn't do it anyway? So, like, what if I am a shaman and I have an Ankh? What if I'm a warlock and I have a soul stone? Like, what, dude? So now that's unfair to them. See, there's an argument that we had about this back in the day too. I've never done a hardcore run of either of those classes, so it didn't pertain, but just as a general format, we talked about this many, many years ago. And so it's kind of like, people would say, oh, you shouldn't be able to use soul stones, but I said you should be able to use it once for the whole run, just to make it feel like, okay, the ability exists for a reason. Because think about it, you might say, oh, warlocks have soul stone and that's bullshit and makes it unfair, but hunters have feigned death. So in the same situation that a hunter has feigned death, the warlock would be expected, okay, you have soul stone, you have the healing stone, what's it called, the green one. Like, you have this contrast of abilities where a mage has ice block. So an ice block is like cheating death. That might have the same value to you as being able to Ankh or soulstone, but you take that for granted, like, oh, you do it while you're still alive. So the warlock's ability to soulstone comes at the expense of maybe having other options that other classes would have. Meanwhile, you can use feign death as many times as you want. So that's kind of an interesting way to look at it. But no, if you just say you take that out of it, then that ability basically doesn't exist, which is only fair. But again, okay, would you rather do a paladin where you can bubble and you can lay on hands as much as you want, right, which is just as effective as keeping you alive in a situation where you otherwise would die? Or would you rather be a warlock and you get no such benefit? You get stolen away from you one of your core abilities that would give you that. So that seems almost unfair, and it just takes away from the flavor of the class. So by my measure, I guess I would say you get to use it once per character, but whatever. I probably wouldn't have done that anyway if I had done one of those classes, just to give it a sense of like, okay, that's your class. You get one soulstone, you get one Ankh. By agreeing to play on these realms, because again, we're comparing it to, wow, a paladin can bubble every other fight, so you're never gonna die. Agreeing to play on these realms, you accept their character's death as permanent for whatever reason, but then you'll ban them if they grieve me, won't you? This includes disconnection, lag, server outages. Wow, you finally are understanding the nature of how this works, Blizzard. Gameplay bugs, well, that's on you then, or any other reason. I'm glad you acknowledge the one and only reason that I would ever die, which I have yet to do actually in this format. Dying due to consensual PvP activity. Wait a second though. Such as a duel to the death or duel to the death or deliberately PvP flagging as part of the game. But these must be PvE servers for all things considered. By agreeing to play on these realms, you agree your conduct yourself in a positive manner, not engage in harassment, hate speech, bullying towards other player group. Azeroth is a dangerous place. Remember, this is a game that you were playing for fun. Well, I doubt anybody has fun with it. It's some kind of egotistical mind trick. Be good to each other. Blizzard Entertainment reserves the right to take the most severe actions in response to deliberate negative behavior on these realms. All to protect streamers, am I right? Any players willfully, deliberately causing player death outside consensual PvP or disrupting. Yeah, how do you exactly define consensual PvP, though, sometimes? Disrupting the play environment will find their account subject to disciplinary action. Oh my god. That won't even necessarily play on him, but just... Or maybe we should take a peek. No, I won't even bother. But just so we have a character on there and we could always come back, and that'll be my first ever mage thing. Why are some of these still full? I thought this is supposed to be dead. But that's kind of subjective. Like, they won't tell you exactly the number. So, full, just because we reduced the server capacity size, not because it's actually a lot of people. So what we were able to do... Okay, now let's go into actually the proper episode. Today should be the Baron's finale episode, but... And it doesn't mean I have to do every quest here, but there's a sense of... What? Why have my talents been reset? Wait, what's going on? Why would this have happened? What does this have to do with anything? Roll. What the fuck did they do? They added like some kind of a group finder thing? Whatever, it doesn't affect me. So we got the parry chance here, obviously. Basically, today is supposed to be the Baron's finale episode. Like, we do enough. We don't have to do the whole zone, but we just pick up the quests that we see, and anything up to yellow we end up having to do. And so it's our first time ever dual wielding. We got that at the end of last episode. But what I also did last episode, there were a few interesting things that happened. Number one is we had 2 brushes with death. One is a sludge fan, where we aggro a whole bunch of stuff up at the top, and it creates a big problem. And we jump down and do like some kind of cool escape into the water and stuff. But that was a very scary moment. And then the second one was some centaur. He got us like 1 HP with a crit, or very low. And that was just like a regular rare spawn type of thing that we were not seemingly having any trouble with, but he did a bit more at the end. So those were 2 scary moments, brushes with death, which we seem to have almost every episode. That was like a very combat-focused, action-packed sort of episode that was like actually getting quests done and making progress. But the Barons is a hell of his own. And then the other point is we made a very clown mistake that was... So each of these oases, well, first of all, I never knew that there were this many oases here. I thought there was only like the one. And in my head, I thought the Wailing Caverns was actually up here where this one is. I kind of confused them. I'm no expert on Horde zones, but I've been through the Barrens enough. You'd think I would know that. So I thought there was only one oasis. I thought it was here. And I thought that was the Wailing Caverns. And so what we did is we went to all 3 and did almost like a mini quest bonus objective where I have to... Yeah, it's not very stagnant, though. There was water there. I don't know why it's called that. They were explaining it in the quest or something. But the point is that... Like, I'm learning so many things from these quests that I didn't even really know or didn't think about, which is kind of a cool element to it. Single-player story game playthrough. It's just the fact that we're going to get killed by the Hidden here. If you know, you know. In that stupid place in Duskwood, there's like a house where some warlock NPC quest can be aggro to anybody. Like, it's like somebody can trigger the thing and then you can't see it. So if they don't finish the quest, he just stays there. I remember dying to that, not in a hardcore run, but just that was on my first character on my mage, and I was so confused for so long. What the hell was that? The Hidden. It's in a house in whatever. What's that graveyard called? Raven Hill Cemetery or whatever. Yeah, we went to these 3 and we opened a chest in 2 of them. I was trying to get, so we finally found a use for the Kolkar key. And one of the chests had this twin blade axe with like +10 attack that was very good. And so I made the stupid mistake, which I guess should be fairly obvious, but I'm like, oh, I think I don't have enough room in my inventory. So let me mess with my inventory. So I stand up and the chest closes. So then you not only have to open it again, so I had to go look for a key, but then of course the next time you open it, it's going to reset, in the sense that this is of course a reminder of our old buddy, which is almost why we didn't want to sleep here. And again, you can't even find those in this part of the world. So what, they got in that from Silverpine, right? Even though orcs have a thing with wolves, like that they use them as mounts, you don't really see wolves. I'm trying to think in this whole region. You get them more in just in the Eastern Kingdoms. So yeah, we basically opened 2 of the 3 centaur chests. So maybe I could do the third one. I think it's the Stagnant Oasis, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, we got that twin blade axe, and then I'm stupid. I'm like, oh, let me be OCD about my inventory, and then we'll open it again. But then, of course, you need the key again, and then, of course, the loot changes. I forget exactly how that works, but I was very confused about it and not really thinking at the time. So then we miss out on that completely, but it's okay. And it sort of goes with the whole mindset that we have a weapon to almost remind us of our pet. Like, one of them is dedicated to them. So a hunter who, this is my RP little quote title of the day, a hunter has no need for a leash in one hand if they have a weapon in both. So, but then again, with a two-handed axe, that would kind of still work, but it's almost like I only want to use this from now on. But certainly if I get a good drop, I have no aversion to doing it. There aren't really any talents here that give you, you know, like two-handed weapon specialization or dual wield specialization. There's neither of those. You would think there'd be at least one or the other. So yeah, let's do the parry chance. I have to be careful because I'm not going to respec, so I don't know why it's... Am I missing something? Like, what did they do? This is still a classic, right? This isn't like they added an expansion to it. None of this stuff was here before. Or is that like somehow in the add-on, but it's not like I asked for that. So here we were thinking about going for the wing clip the first time. But the reason why I went for this is because it just feels more fitting, right? Because you're only going to use the trap once. This kind of encourages sort of degenerate spamming. We got 1, 2, 3, and then we get the 1 here. And then I had one extra point that I didn't even use at all. When activated, increase your dodge. Yeah. Wait. Dodge and parry? Wait, why did I think it was only parry? Wait a second. Am I like playing a different expansion and not even knowing it now? They changed something? Deterrence? Wow. Classic. I'm positive it was just parry. Or I'm that dumb that I really dodge and parry. So then that becomes insane because you're spamming mongoose bite and counterattack. I almost swear that it said that. Weird. Increase your total health by 2. That's kind of too generic of an effect to be interesting. Increases the duration of freezing and frost trap by 15%, and the damage of immolation explosive trap. Now, you would think traps should be a big part of my playstyle, but I've been kind of lazy with them, I guess. The health one, yeah, I'm going to try to avoid passives. This is at least more interesting between these two. And I can't wait till I get that. Obviously, level 30, it'll just be excellent. It's almost like we're okay with living without the pet, right? Because that's what this other weapon showed us, is we always have a second source of damage by our side. It just happens to come from us as well, even if, you know, it's just not the same. So that's a reminder of our past self when we had our own little wolf. Yeah, the Barrens is kind of an iconic zone, but arguably some people would say for the wrong reasons. Oh, the horde areas are unfinished, which is fair, and they kind of crammed in 2 level 10 to 20 zones together and this and that. So it's ups and downs, but the music is iconic, the size of it, the variety of all the different things you're fighting, the Silithid, the Centaur, the, you know, just different wildlife, raptors, giraffes, this and that. Like, it's insane. So where's our offhand now? We still have that, but it's kind of embarrassing that I messed that up so badly. Problem with the bag is I don't even have room for the bag. How ironic. No bag space for the bag, because even in the bank, you're going to be in a spot where... Now, not that this offhand is particularly good, but just to be able to dual wield is a very nice feeling. And the one responsibility that we don't have to worry about is obviously the fact that, you know, you don't have to worry about getting meat. And in all these short episodes, that would sometimes take a meaningful component of it right there. I'll spend the first half hour just farming meat for my pet and then not get anywhere. So we had a whole bunch of stuff to turn in. Or wait. I'm looking at the wrong thing. So these ones I don't really even have to do. But I want to turn these in so I can pick up the rest of it. Cast Eye Emerald is going to be... Is this going to be the boulder load mine that got my pet killed? This bit of news, boulder load mine. Like, that's a very dangerous spot where 2 or 3 things can aggregate together. A lot of this stuff I want to turn in, though. And then we'll sort of clean sweep. See, what's going to be confusing a bit is a lot of the quests that I didn't pick up are, like, to do with dungeons. So I deliberately avoided them, so now I have to go back through and see which ones I genuinely couldn't pick up because I didn't have room, and which ones ones that I didn't pick up because of room, and ones that I chose not to pick up because of that. Right? There's no way to really distinguish them otherwise. So I didn't really look at the Barrens or the Crossroads. I keep calling the Crossroads the Barrens and the Barrens the Crossroads. The whole zone is effectively a crossroads itself, is the point. Although it's a little bit too high up for that to make entirely too much sense. We kind of skirted with the outside of Camp Taurajo, but just to get the Thunder Lizard thing. And there's those little night elves on the mounts that can elites that can get you killed. There's a lot of stuff like that in Classic. They can just fuck you over. You can sell meat to him. Or wait, this music doesn't always play here. Have a look at my meats, friend. You won't want to go outside the Barrens without a good stock of provisions. Well, I won't be able to go outside anyway. Yeah, let's try to turn in everything. So you're trying to tell me the only quest I had to turn in was this one here? Crossroads, Regthar, Deathgate. Who is that?
What can I do?
If you collected the Planestrider Beaks, I've started to do this to make it more RP as we're reading this. Very good. With the Planestriders gone, we'll have an easier time keeping the supply chains intact. I hope you learned a few tricks out there in the Barrens. For your next prey has a little more fire in its blood than the Planestriders. The Zebra, although not the fiercest beast in the Barrens, are a shade tougher than the Planestriders. Don't worry, we'll send you against bigger prey in a good time, but for now your teeth could use a little more cutting. Hunt the Zebra to the north, the south, and collect their hooves. Bring them to me and we'll send you into something tougher. Okay.
Farewell. What do you need?
Okay, so she just keeps giving you beast-related quests. The kind of a offensive thing to do maybe to a hunter. So what other quests can we turn in? Is this the Deathgate guy? Wouldn't really fit. Who is that? That's such a badass name that, of course, Mankirk, who you know from, everybody says his name wrong, myself included. Everything just reset. Yeah, free up space, but I have so many rules associated with not being able to do that. The times we live in are fickle. Okay, I've read that. Stagnant oasis. Your findings are amazing. The seeds I gave you were dried and dead. Whatever rests under those oases can create life from nothing. We must study this more. Your findings are incredible altered beings. These oases hold properties that must come from an outside source or perhaps inside one. I want to know how these... It almost sounds like you're talking about the old gods there. I want to know how these blame everything on them. Whenever there's like a dwarven dig site, you always think of that. There was something in Mulgore, some flavor text. They dug too deep and found something that should have stayed buried. There's some good flavor text like that. I want to know how these fissures are affecting the beasts who drink the water from the oasis. Hunt oasis snapjaws in lush water, stagnant oasis. That'll give me a chance to go back to stagnant oasis and try to kill the centaur for that other chest, which will clearly give me that twin blade axe again, which is very unlikely.
May the eternal sun shine upon.
Now, some of these NPCs I gotta check for quests anyway, just like if you're going to... Where are the rest turn in anyway? He's gonna be further in, I bet. I really can't remember who this guy is. He's gonna be maybe up in the tower. Yeah, always the strongest, most badass NPC of any zone or any area is the Flight Master, typically. But the part of it that is weird is, I guess not here though. No, she's level 60 elite. Who is this Deathgate guy? Thoric. So basically all I want to do is pick up all the quests. Then at least I can decide from there. And hopefully a lot of them are yellow, and hopefully I won't level up. Part of the reason maybe why I'm avoiding the rested issue. Like, I kind of want to be done with the Barrens today, and we'll come back at some point, but we could go to Stone Town, we could do whatever, but I have to hit that threshold, which I don't want to rush it either, but we're running out of places, first of all, to stay in here. In fact, I can't think of a single one. We might have to just... Whatever. Am I missing something? Deathgate. Who is this guy? I think he would stand out. Such a badass name. Apothecary. It's not her, obviously. Could be at the top here, but I'm not seeing... Not that I even like to use the map for that. Oh, west of the crossroads. Never mind. West of the crossroads, Ratchet. I'll have to come back here again. That's the annoying thing. In Bold Bucket. Now, she's at, like, the top part. She's, like, all the way in the north. So we could go to Ashenvale instead. That we have to go to the other place. Shipment of boots. Okay, let's sell some stuff. Which even that has many rules to it. We could find, like, a general goods vendor. Wait, you're not even a stable master. What are you? Raptor thieves. Yeah, see, even that, I would feel a certain temptation to do, as much as I don't really care for it. I wonder if those are the ones that'll be up in on the mountain, because it doesn't really seem like there's much use for those otherwise. Or it'll just be like kill any random raptors overall.
What do you need?
Yeah, today I'll just be like spending the whole goddamn time doing turning quests in. So you could sell some of this. 1 agility, 2 stamina, or we would sell it to somebody who has fitting stuff. Leather and mail armor merchant. The Barrens with his hot sun and hostile denizens, perfect place to test your strength and fortitude. Wait, but it's cloth, so we would have to abide this still. Nobody here is going to sell cloth because it's just not their style. How unfair to caster types, as if you'd be buying any of this shit anyway. But that's one of my favorite things about those previous permadeath runs that I did. It actually gives you a certain value to NPC items. Like, that might be the best thing you're going to get for a while, right? There's always going to be some sort of intermediate thing that's like, wow, that's a big upgrade, and there was no other way I could have possibly gotten it. Max, strength, agility, stamina, 2 agility, 2 spirit. Wait, that is actually better. Going for full spirit build. 2 agility, 2 spirit. 1 strength, 1 agility, 1 stamina. The spirit isn't particularly important to me. So let's see. I can't do anything with the bag. Everything is always 6 slots anyway. Tailoring. Like, we gotta find a general goods vendor if we're gonna do this. And the only way is to go back to, like, fucking... Like, I don't know if there is one here. 1 agility, 2 intellect. Not really worth it. 3 strength is still better. Trying to think. There's not really adequate shopkeepers here. Weaponsmith. Or we'll just deal with not picking anything up ever, which is kind of annoying. Yeah, we'll have to go to Ratchet, turn everything in, because I just don't have room. I don't want to go all the way up to that chick either, but we'll do it if we want to do Boulder Load Mine. In fact, I almost want to take revenge for my pet there. In fact, what we could make, since we're here, let's make 2 changes. Yeah, we'll go in badass to avenge our pet, although I feel very scared about going there. I hear you goblins like bombs. That little one-liner we did. Let's make a whole bunch. Take with us there. And we even had Hunter's Mark there as a way to make the pet attack. Some of the stuff I was deciding as I went along, but, you know, like I wasn't doing that from the beginning. So this is... Arlink Spanner. So what you want is as many of these bombs as you can. Which I'm not going to have linen for, so I can't even do anything. Damn it. Always such a random type of requirement. I'm not allowed to craft out in the field and stuff either. I have the 1 potion, which I forget how I even got it. Because I was worried last time I didn't have any. So a lot of this stuff I'd have to sell to like a cloth vendor. Maybe there is one somewhere around here. And I just don't notice them. Trade supplies. Oh yeah, here's the general goods thing. So at least I try to make it a little like that Bethesda style, which might not make sense to some people, but like that you can sell something that you know you're not going to use, like the tailoring. Might think, or this, you might think, oh, you know, it should be a trade supply guy, but general goods is good enough for me there. And so anything, we need a cloth vendor, and maybe cloth vendor for that. So like those 3. Then the rest of it is mostly quest items. Some of this stuff, I don't know whether you're going to need it at some point for... Now, should this work there? I guess it should, right? This stuff that doesn't fit into any other category. That almost makes you think it's a, you know, for the weaponsmith or something because it's a shield, but... Tailoring obviously is not going to come into play. So now the only thing is... Those 2 are actually still usable. So who here would sell cloth, assuming that's really an issue that we have to deal with? That's the butcher. You would think there'd at least be 1 person who has something to do with that. Tailoring supplies, it's just not really the style of the horde as much, I guess. One of these guys, maybe. Bags and sacks, that should almost count. Or, I mean, you have cloth in the name.
I have just the thing for you.
Clothier.
Go in peace.
Tailor. I'm just saying how it's not their style. I didn't even notice these people here. Yeah, this is all I have very little money because we had that little alcoholism episode after losing the pet, which is that's one of my favorite RP moments of this series yet because it's so it's just so organic to what happened. Right? Like my pet died. I didn't plan on that happening. I wasn't trying to make that happen, but because it did, we pay a consequence. Both we have to spend all our money on booze at the beginning of an episode. And then we have to constantly drink it, so it creates an economic downside. It creates a gameplay downside, where we see the enemy's levels as lower than what they are. We see the fact that the screen is blurry, it's shaking, so it creates all kind of difficulty for a good justifiable reason. So this is cloth, this is cloth, this is cloth. Obviously cloaks are always cloth. Cloth, cloth. Let's see if there's something actually better than what I have, but it wouldn't matter because, you know, I can scarcely afford it. So that's at least a decent amount of space. I have half a mind to just try to sell the bag because I'm not going to do anything with it. In fact, I will, because you can always get those, right? 6-slot bags are nothing to write home about. We're never going to be able to use it for anything, so why even bother? Who is the bag guy? This guy. Bags and sacks. Yeah, you could just buy it right back from him a million years from now when I actually have enough space. Yeah, just get rid of that. You might think, oh, just put it in the bank, but I have no use of that now. So I'm actually grateful to even have this much space. I've half a mind just to sell that two-handed axe, but the only thing you want with that is the top end damage is pretty good. So, you know, you're getting like these big 100 crits, which you won't really get with this. But then again, this basically has almost as good damage as this anyway, or at least better DPS. I was almost mocking the idea of using dual wielding and not thinking it's going to be too good, but now it maybe is going to grow on me, or it's like our first time ever using it. We could go for the boulder load mine and turn this chick's quest in all in one fell swoop, right? Those will be the two things. We also have ratchet and some of those things. So let's start at the top, basically. I almost don't want to go through the sludge fen though to do it. We are out for blood to avenge our pet, but again, there are situations where you're fighting 2 or 3 of those things at once, and they're level 17 and 18. So this is like a very questionable thing, because you have to understand you not only have clipped wings and a clipped heart, but you just are completely handicapped in so many ways. No pet, no range, no abilities that correspond to that. Like, you've got nothing. I don't even have food. Like, I should have actually probably bought some. In fact, I'm probably gonna need it. That was one thing that really hurt me last time. Like, between every fight, I'm just sitting there and I don't... It seems like a waste, but I'll spend all my money just on that to try to last through. Because you got to kind of push the pace if you're going to do it. That area is very cancerous. We went there like twice. We went there the first time, I'm like, I backed off. My pet almost died. Then I went there the second time, my pet did die. Now the third time's a charm. But for them or for me? So they want revenge because we've killed so many of their goblins. We want revenge because they killed our pet. That's a good rivalry that we're brewing, and how fitting because, well, we're more of a meat type ourselves anyway. We're more... Yeah, the music keeps changing around. This is the Thunder Bluff music now, but before it was the Orgrimmar music. Does it really vacillate that much between them? Barons are like good stock of provisions. So 552 is not really even necessary, right? This would be more than good enough. So let's do like a few stacks of that. You get like 3 maybe. It's not even that expensive. So now that seems stupid, or rather it is stupid because I even say it goes bad at the end of an episode, so I won't even be able to use it in the future, but I've been a little bit too easygoing with my money. Yeah, we have a whole bunch of quests just to turn in. So we'll do that one. It is green. I mean, if I have a yeah, that's where I got trapped the last time too. I thought the camouflage one was there. And I'm like, why the hell is this quest green when everything is like 17, 18 and I'm 17, 18? But somehow we can kill the zebras on the way. I want to take kind of a safer path though. We'll hug the river. I mean, you could just spend like an eternity in these zones if you really want. But people, I don't know. There's a sense that you want to rush through everything. There's so much good that people just miss out on or sort of rush through. If he wants me to go to the Stagnant Oasis again, that'll give me a good excuse to... Yeah, we're going to end up just having to do everything here. Where's the one that I keep saying I'm going to do, but then I never end up going back to Ratchet? It's that stupid one that has to do with the little pirate camps on the outside there. Which we already did one quest there. I can't remember what it was, just to kill some of them. Yeah, this is actually stretching that rule pretty thin, because both in the sense of having to sleep in a different building like every time that has to be, you know, away from each other, and also the fact that I don't know, just the episodes are so short and taking my time so much, it's very hard to do that. And the fact that I can't leave the zone until I do all these quests. So it's going to be very hard to actually manage this. This is unironically like impossible. I'll have to find like some other, like let me try to do my bed count. We have Camp Tarajo, but I want to save that for like when I'm actually doing Camp Tarajo, which will be not part of this whole Crossroads experience or Baron's experience. We've done Ratchet, we've done the Crossroads, we've done even this chick's house at the top here. Or let's take care of these, I guess. And so the only thing that we have left is maybe the other house adjacent to her. So I guess if not this time, then next time definitely has to be it. And again, it's not like I have to do every quest here, period, but I just have to. And people mind that I keep clicking to loot that, but you can't auto loot when you're so conserved on space and you have so many restrictions. Does look pretty badass dual wielding. I haven't done this in a long time. And you're still getting pretty good crits, but these are against lower level things. I think for some intents and purposes this isn't so bad, but you're just not going to get the high-end top damage and crits that you sometimes want. And you are going to be critting a lot anyway, because, yeah, what's better, Fury Warrior leveling or this? Like, come on. It's so stupid. Or rogues, obviously. Combat rogues. Even here, I'm taking a substantial amount of damage. I don't get it. Against, like, level 13s and stuff. You really have no security blanket. Your armor value and stuff isn't too good. I haven't even learned most of my spells. It is satisfying seeing those quick damage values come up back to back to back. But it's not really the style of play I thought I was going to go for. You miss out seeing all those numbers otherwise from your pet, so this is the way to make up for it. Like, the amount that you're hitting is not actually that much, and our weapon skill is pretty good anyway, but like, would we really be killing them faster if we had the two-hander? Probably if you had that really good one that we got offered last time and missed out on like a clown. Yeah, we're actually going because I tend to spam maybe that one thing too much, which is wing clip. Just honestly doing it for DPS purposes at times. 95, but yeah, you crit so much, so that's why two-hander is objectively better, because if you have a 20% guaranteed crit chance at least, and you're going to have at least a 5 to 10% chance yourself, then what that basically means is you're going to be in a position where if you're able to, really nothing to save that for either, you're going to be in a position where you're able to crit so often that you want the highest damage value possible from the crit, which is obviously going to come from a two-handed weapon. If you do get a really good one, I'm not opposed to using it. There's like no rule that says I can't use it. So they updated other things that even affect this, which is kind of weird. It's one thing if you did it for the hardcore classic servers, but yeah, see, I got to resist that temptation. It's not like he's even going to run away, so it doesn't matter as much. You know, with a humanoid or something, like that's going to be very relevant coming up here. Or I guess I didn't get the fourth hoof. Yeah, even doing these great quests seems weird, but I somehow am trying to do this as completionist as possible. I would even go to Mulgore and do everything there, but I don't know. It's going to be really hard keeping up with these conditions later in these higher level zones and stuff, because you would have to do so much to... Yeah, I don't know. I'm actually starting... But there's so many zones. That's the whole beauty of it. So if you keep hopping between them, there's going to be some sense of... You'll never really run out of stuff to do or places to go at various times. Like even here, we could go back to Silverpine Forest now anytime I want and do the rest of it and then work our way to Hillsbrad. And then we can come back and do Ashenvale. Like, if you keep zone hopping, it's much more fun than what people typically do. Which is like they'll stay in the same zone the whole time and say, oh, it's so boring doing the same quest over and over. And we're doing this even without the possibility of... rest. Like, we're getting as little rest as possible. That's just from logging out, period. But we haven't logged out in a rested zone even once, right? We've been in rested zones a little bit during the course of play. Like, we'll be in Orgrimmar for the whole episode, but then I'll sleep somewhere else. That's the ultimate irony. We have to rest in a different place every time, and it has to be like a house of some kind, but it's never going to be actually an inn or like the place where you're actually meant to, in effect, or a capital city. Which is kind of ridiculous. Like, even then, you would only be able to rest in each capital city once if that was acceptable. This almost seems like some sort of troll voodoo hut, but I don't know what it actually is. It wasn't that guy's hut, right? The kid of the chick who's crying in the house. He had like some other shack over there that he was hunting out of. Then you just have to kill random crocodiles to try to get his remains. Yeah, I like the variety of wildlife here, a lot of which I don't think you can tame. Yeah, I don't even know or remember that much fully. Like, I never saw a hunter with a giraffe, unless they added later the ability to tame those. I'm pretty sure you couldn't do them. Or I don't know what you would say then, what the exact criteria. Like, oh, it's too big, that's why you can't use it? Or tame it? Yeah, this is going to be the epic showdown to try to get revenge, but again, the pure congestion of enemies here makes it very annoying. I don't know how I feel about this, and they are reasonable level. There's still 18, this and that. Wasn't that long ago that we were here. And of course, because of my lack of linen, I didn't... Basically, fighting two of these together is going to be suicide. I can't even figure it out. Or you know what I didn't put on the bar and I put the meat there instead, is deterrent. So you have to pull them back fast, but we got to eat between fights. And I think the reason why I have to do that is because of the simple fact that, well, since we're over our alcohol trip, that should be fine. I should use my trap more, and I should make sure I pull them back so they don't aggro a whole bunch like they're going to shortly now. Goblins do have that little built-in camouflage capability. With respect to, see, now you got to eat in between fights. You don't waste like an hour and wait for respawn. And I do have this tendency to try to kill everything in my way, but you really can't do it here, right? As much as that's dangerous to do. Even an 18 is going to give me trouble. Never fight them where you aggro them. Somebody's going to be padding like in that mine. That's what got me killed before, but I can't worry about it right now. Or it's like where you have to use your racial every single fight because... What are you, a Democrat, using the race card every discussion, every argument? But basically, you're in a position where you have to just not let stuff respawn. Which by the time I'm done with the mine, I'm sure it will, but... It's something that people are so fixated on in this day and age, which is... There's always something interesting about that, right? Sort of like the absolutist commentary. If somebody does something bad to somebody else, that's what's important. Right now, it's worth noting, yes, they might have done it because of such and such motivation, but let's say somebody didn't have that motivation. They do something bad just because they don't like somebody, just period. Like, oh, I don't like their personality, I don't like them, or it's just random. They just randomly did something because they're just a dick, right? Does that make it better or worse? It almost makes it seem like that's where the media is irresponsible. Like they'll usurp that. They'll say, you know, oh, well, people die every day, there's crimes committed every day, but because, oh, it's done because of this reason, we're going to give it some sort of special attention because of that. Is it somehow better then if they do it for some other reason? Like, it's the same result, let's say the same crime. Well, the ogre feels a little bit out of place here. Yeah, look at this, dude. If I fight two things at once, I'm basically just dead. It's a green quest, but I don't know how I feel about it. I do have the potion. Like, why is this guy hitting so hard? Oh, of course, because he's an ogre, because that's clearly how it works. And I don't think I even hit him. Wasted a bomb, of which I have very few. I mean, this is just going to be ridiculous. Going to be tough, because see now this waste, man, this area is going to be my downfall. I don't have to necessarily do it right now, but I had half a notion to want to. You just sometimes have to know how to pick your battles, pick your hunch. Yeah, this zone is very punishing for all my criteria, because there's just so much shit to do. I can't even pick up all the quests, let alone do them. I should at least finish every single one that I have up to the yellow in this set. Then I'll have to pick up the rest, and then maybe next time would have to be the Baron's finale, because I doubt I could do it here. Okay, so the big mistake is, again, the padding away. Or I mean, the running away. Disarm is pretty annoying. So now you end up in a position where you're at a major disadvantage, but he's hitting such an incredible amount that it becomes very difficult to do this. You can sometimes trust that you're not going to die at the end, but it's those mitigation chains can happen a lot more here. Just somehow dual wielding is obviously conducive to that. But yeah, you really do have to fight your way through this. Like, there's no easy way to do this. And then you have to be prepared to run away. You have to have a path that you carved in. If you try to cheat the process and skip too many things, it's going to become very difficult to do that then later. We saw that even happen last time, or even the time before too. Every time we've been here, it's not gone particularly well. So why I would think to do it now is beyond me. We have a real death wish, I guess. So now she's going to do a dinky amount of damage compared to the ogre. Like, it's actually really relevant. Come on, come on. Or they'll have some crazy special ability they do at the end, or they'll have a net or something. 76, we don't even give them time to run away. Yeah, this is where the meat's so important. You really are. This is one of the best ways to counter that need of, unless you're having to use your racial every fight. At least then, you know, respawns are such an issue that the thing is, two of them are going to aggro at once at some point, and then I won't be able to do it. I at least have to get to that point and then decide, like, okay, fine, I'll come back. And I just can't do it right now. There's only so much room sometimes to pull them back just because of how this area is organized. Now that's really bad. It always seems like the goblins run away faster than everything else, but it's probably just because they're smaller. Goblins versus gnomes, the classic battle of technology. But because the goblins were so neutral, it almost makes them seem better. That, you know, for so long at least. Both alliances liked them, both factions respected them. And they were so shrewd and to the point with what they valued. Now I almost need some water, too. Let's see how much good we can do without, you know, you always got to do Rapture Strike whenever it's up. You do this because you're getting low, or that's even the best time to do it. So now you really got to wait. You would think by the act of eating, you'll get a certain amount of mana back, but like, we should save the bomb, obviously, just as an escape route. And it's kind of annoying that we don't have the ability to... We didn't have the ability to make more because we don't have linen, or I do have a certain amount of linen, like, in my bank. So now you try to get this guy. These paths are the ones that really get you, right? It's always the overseers, and even the help of the little radar isn't really doing a whole lot for me. So I almost have to wait for him to come back, or is that the same one? Just in the amount of time that I take to do this, it's going to basically be, you know, baiting out the respawn. So now as I run out of here, clearly, tail between my legs, you're going to... It's always confusing when it's a different thing that respawns too. It was a goblin before, now it's a dwarf, but it was the same position, basically. The big mistake was in the mine. I basically decided to... There's nothing even in here. Or maybe it's in that chest, but I don't think it is, because we already saw that. Where would it even say? Miner's Fortune, Boulder Load Mine. One of the miners discovered an emerald. Well, now I'm kind of a little bit confused because there's like 4 guys in there. So that part I could just, yeah, it'll be in here. I don't even need food. I mean, I already wasted my money on it. Yeah, see, here you almost got to clear the path going out because you'll get cucked in respect to when you're able to try to run away. Now, again, the big mistake I'm making is not using my trap at all. I keep saying it, but somehow I just can't get it through my head. This is where Wing Clip is necessary too, not just to stop them from running away, but to put yourself in a position where, well, I hope it's not up there, or in a way I almost wish it was up there, but it did say one of the miners, so I don't see what this thing would have to do with that. You may as well use something like deterrence when it's up. Like, a situation like this is really tough because I don't know whether it's worth it or not, but you can't be stingy about cooldowns or items or anything and then end up dying. That's always my bad tendency. Like, oh yeah, The Witcher, Geralt died with with a bunch of food in his pocket so he can go, off his dead body, give it to the poor and feed the poor. So that's the true heroism of the end of the run. But if I had just used any of it, grabs for his poison dagger. If I had just used any of it, it would have been fine, because it would have been a case where I could have just waited and tried to heal. You're going into an encounter not with your full resources, which in this case you can understand, at least because of the respawn element. This guy's not that different than the other ones. Yeah, now you're out of mana. It's actually relevant. Going as a hunter as a real death knell. And you ask and you receive the milk, but I'll save it for now. Yeah, I'm in a really tough spot, but you do have a lot of utility stuff to try to look ahead. We can, use the map to my advantage. There's a path that comes through in the mine that is very, very deadly. At least, again, we have our escape plan. This is rules of being a hunter 101, right? Always have an escape path. Fight your way to your target so you know you can fight your way back out. Never go in blind. Never go in sort of unsure of your surroundings. Don't try to rush it. Now, he is going to be clipped. He is crit. Cat's Eye Emerald. So I don't even have to do it, and I won't do it. So I didn't realize it was just a random thing to that extent. What a great way to prevent potentially dying there, because this area does scare the shit out of me. For a good reason. We're traumatized, but we get our little revenge, but we won't even go back in there. We'll save that, even still, for later. Like, almost out of a sense of honor, I should do it, but I would have done it if not for that. So this will be in Ratchet. This will be in the other place. If we go all the way up to the top, I just gotta count what I'm doing. So we'll do the zebra quest, and then we will also... Uh-oh. Yeah, see, it's because of being disarmed that we almost just died there. That's how quickly you can go wrong. Uh-oh. Man. Just whenever there's so many congested things, which there are a lot of areas like that, to be fair. The goblins are really sneaky, though, with their natural size. Give them an advantage. But that's why some races just aren't suited to be rogues and stuff, but somehow they get away with it anyway. Or that's how Taurens always wanted to be rogues, but they couldn't because they're too big. So then they become druids and shapeshift into something else just to be able to, be small enough to, prowl around. So we'll kill the zebra. Then we will, or we'll turn this thing into the chick, which I don't really want to go through the sludge fen to do it. I'd have to go all the way around. That's the main thing we're doing, is we're just turning in a lot of stuff we did last time and trying to pick up new stuff in the process and do some of that too. Is there anything else on the way I could do? That's way south. That's towards Ratchet. And then the rest I don't even have to worry about. Oh, man. What a zone. If the Barrens was a game, it would be as big and as long as Skyrim, and maybe as good too. Or, almost if you measure some of these zones. And it's not always about the raw size. Like, there's so much variety and depth to these zones too. So many different quests, so many things that even someone who's experienced with the game as me doesn't even know. Mainly because I just played Alliance over and over and over. And even in terms of races, I played humans over and over and over. I'm almost the type to deliberately play them because I think they're boring, as weird as that seems, just because I'm saving the more interesting ones for later. So even some of the classes I thought were more interesting, like druids, I find fascinating. I've never actually played one, so... the 4 classes I got to 60 was obviously my mage originally. Then the other 3 were in hardcore, before the add-on was even out. How could I possibly have done it then? The 3 permadeath runs, warrior, rogue, and priest. But that constitutes the only 4 things I got to 60, and you see how meaningful that sounds. Like, I always wanted to get every class to level 60, but that's what they ruined in later expansions. Like, oh, well, I have a level 60 plus paladin because they just gave me a character boost when I wanted to fly around in Cataclysm zones just to kind of see whatever. So he's like level 90. You play in Legion and they just give you a character boost and this and that. We avoid this area again, attack the Leaper's advice somehow, just to... Man, this is going to be a lot of walking. Or what we did actually have a chance to get, which I don't think I did because I couldn't afford it, was an aspect of the cheetah, which can be dangerous because you'll get dazed, but just don't use it in combat. That's actually super impactful because it'll just save me so much time in the long run, especially when you realize that probably at level 30 or sorry, at level 40, you won't be able to afford the mount anyway. In fact, in the other runs, I remember getting a mount at some point, but it was like closer to level 60, right? You're not going to get it immediately once you get to level 40. But I like how that's people's immediate reaction to the thing too. The first comment on there is like, well, wait till you get to 60 and die in a raid. But the whole point of doing it is not to do multiplayer stuff. Like even doing dungeons, and that doesn't make sense, right? Like why would you're putting yourself at risk, but you're also doing something. It's wrong in both senses, right? You're doing something that puts you at risk and you can get wiped or you can get trolled or griefed or somebody just sucks and you'll blame them. You're putting your life in somebody else's hands, which you shouldn't do. But number two is you could also get carried through dungeons and it could help you and give you overpowered items. Like it takes away somewhat from the integrity of, in part, what this is supposed to be about. But obviously there's other ways to do it. It just feels maybe unusual. This does make it feel like a single player RPG complete experience, just you're using everything that the game is giving you, but in a solo sense, which there is more than adequate stuff, whether it be from vendors, whether it be from drops. There's so many resources at your disposal. But even with a white offhand and all this kind of stuff, and sure, I'm fighting level 13, but, you know, even against stuff around our own level, we can still do it. It's just not always too comfortable. Okay, why aren't they just dropping it? Reload reminder, reload when safe. But why? Why do you want me to reload? What do you mean? Time for a reload interval. Interval equals 45 minutes. Like, what are you talking about? Reload reminder. What the fuck does that mean? How often do you want to be reminded in minutes? For what, though? Hardcore community reload to avoid loss of hardcore progress. We'll remind you to reload as long as it's configurable sound chat notifications. I don't know why it wants me to do that. Time for a reload. Interval 45 minutes. Like why you got to do this? It wasn't like that before. Rules, verify. Level 21, solo, none. 51.7 hours. Verification status passed. Track time, 97.6. Well, good thing I have it on video. How could it even be missing that much? I don't even get it. We had it from the beginning. That's statistics. Wait, what? Show deaths in my zone that you have witnessed. You have witnessed 9 deaths. I guess I didn't really pay too much attention to them. Accountability. How do you even... Man, why you gotta do all this shit? What is this reload nonsense, man? Verification, you can verify, blah, blah, blah. You get verified tab. Recording or stream is also recommended. Provide evidence for special circumstances such as disconnection deaths. But that's not even the point. Disconnection death would still count, but it would just be death nights are authorized for the hardcore challenge, adding in these following rules. 2 days, 2 hours. 1 day, 22 hours. What does that mean? Wait, how could it be... Okay, I guess. August 17th. Yeah, it's been a weekly series. I don't know why this would be so surprising. Level 2. Or no, it's just saying that between each level, I guess. How long it took you to... That one is saying it took me 4 hours. So yeah, April 6th. So that's the first episode, second episode. Look at all the progress. Third episode, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th. Even though that's not even accurate because... We've leveled up 22 times. It's not... What is this? Oh, that doesn't even count towards it. What was I even doing there? Just like trying to do some sort of RP scenario. But no, there's more than that too. I don't get it. Dungeons. Yeah, I don't know what this whole dungeon integration thing is even. What is this 45-minute thing? I'm confused. Oh, it doesn't actually force you to... Man, wait to just break my immersion. So every 45 minutes you'll do that? How do you change that setting? I don't even want to see that fucking prompt. Like, it's on, I'm connected. Unless I DC, why should it matter? So irritating. Now this is going to bother me. I don't know how you get rid of that. Fucking stupid. I thought I saw a setting for it too. Anyway, we'll turn this quest in, and then we'll try to see, like, I'm trying to remember if there's something else I had the option to pick up. Like, it'll be in some random location like this that I'll have forgotten about. I'm not going to say I'm obligated to do it in that way, but I've explored this area pretty thoroughly. Like, is this a house that I maybe haven't slept in? No, this is like the first one that I did. And these two should almost be considered the same thing, right? When they're that close. Although somehow I consider these two at the top different. Just because there's like a whole mountain range and stuff in between them, even though they're relatively close. Yeah, this could almost count as two. In fact, I think this is the one that I stayed in because I was commenting on the kid and like how we're keeping him company and how he likes our pet, like come up with an RP scenario. So he kind of made friends with the pet. Why am I so averse to using the trap? I feel like it has to be such an elaborate help. I mean, chased by bees, not the bees. The fact of, you know, it has to be elaborate and you really have to set it up and do all this stuff. You can just do it and have them walk into it. Even if they miss it, then it feels like, you know, it's not that big of a deal. So did we actually get the fourth fever thing? I still didn't. Weird. Yeah, the Silithid are at the bottom. There's that little dwarven camp thing. But the thing is, that guy's going to send me all the way down there, right? That guy in the crossroads, because that's the only sign of Silithid. So I would, I guess, have to do that too. Or maybe there's sometimes, no, there's normally a rule, like if you get to have to go to another zone, I'm not going to do that, obviously. Or I can't even go to another zone until I, you know, get to a certain checkpoint here, let's say. Which, again, it normally wouldn't be this crazy, but... Wow, why is it cucking me on the drop rate so much now? These things can drop it. I don't know what other kind of zebras there even are. Yeah, this is kind of nice to be able to dual wield. I won't say it's really that much better than if I had gotten that twin-bladed axe, but that is a very good... It's only a level 10 item, but it's at least better than our level 5 thing. That would have been a big upgrade. I don't know why I didn't like that. This is where the camouflage actually was. So I don't know why this last one is so incredibly hard to get. There's plenty of them around. Yeah, this chick is kind of out of the way and annoying, so I wonder if she'll give me another quest yet still. We're getting random grays that we didn't even know existed. And yeah, I'm conserving space as much as I can. A lot of it's just food, though, so it makes my life a little bit easier. In fact, that was very well worth it. Although, again, a hunter doesn't trust the meat that they don't kill and gut themselves. My old expression. So basically, you should almost just buy bread or something instead. Doesn't mean that just because you're a hunter, you have to only eat meat all the time. Yeah, we're going to have a BOE blue come up, and then it's still going to fuck me that way. And that is so immersion breaking. What, I can't play 45 minutes with that shit? Like, why do you have to reset unless there's some sort of internet issue or whatever? Like, I don't know why it says 97%, because the only part that I remember where it wouldn't have worked is if I DC'd briefly. And the only time that ever happened was in Orgrimmar, that one episode where I was streaming on Wi-Fi. But then at least you know, like, based on where I am, right, like, what could have possibly happened. But no, that would have been like 0.01% of the run. It wouldn't have been... Okay, I did fish in this before. I kind of like this area up here. It's just like all these trees. There's a raptor camp. There's a whole bunch of harpies. It's just kind of unique as you're kind of bordering on Stone Talon and Ashenvale. Kind of want to touch like every zone that I can in this playthrough. Right, obviously like a horde extraordinary thing. I won't do Mulgore as thoroughly as I did Tirisfal, because I feel like, okay, now we're out of level range, but we did the whole of Durotar, then we did Tirisfal pretty thoroughly. We basically did every quest in and around Brill, and we were still leveling up a little bit because, sure, I was a little bit higher level there, but it wasn't, like, extreme. I don't know if I even went any further here and talked to them. I think I did. Yeah, see, like, I can't use this house, but I can use the ones on the other side of the mountain, which I might have to. You have the nugget slugs. I've been eyeing the camouflage, and I can't wait to tinker with it. Even though you didn't know it existed 5 minutes ago. Now I can get to work. That didn't work. I like how fast they do it. Good feedback on the quest when you actually get to see something happen. Well, that didn't work. I put some extra gauges on the camouflage to measure its structural integrity, and now they read the integrity at an all-time low. I could add some dials to it. Imagine it blows up and just kills you. Dials or lever, maybe lever 2, try to fix it, but I think that might make things even worse. You should take the camouflage to really greasy gob. Used to work for the venture company. If he knows anything to fix it, it's him. You can find him at Nog's Machine Shop in Orgrimmar. At least that's good, because I'm not going to necessarily go back there. Bring the broken and battered camouflage to really greasy gob. Such a long chain quest for this. First, the guy just heard about it in Ratchet. Then you go, you get it. Then you try to have this chick mess with it. Sometimes that can be the annoying thing about some of these older quest designs is like they'll send you to a place, right? Like go to Boulder Load Mine and kill 10 of these named goblins. Then you go back, you turn it in, then you come back. Now kill these other 10 named ones that you saw and killed on the way of doing that, and then you go back to town. Then you come back a third time and kill the named NPC boss or whatever, and loot the chest or something. So like you've already been there and you could have done it all in one, which I can appreciate sometimes why they do that, but especially when it's super far away. Oh yeah, I did look at that. That's obviously Warsong Gulch, this is sort of to imply like where is it that is taking place, right? Like there's some sort of representation on the map for it too. Oh, I didn't even necessarily want to discover that. Yeah, we'll save that for later. We're not gonna dick around with Ashenvale. So what do we got? Yeah, I'm kind of eager to learn aspect of the cheetah if I could, but it's gonna take a while to get to that point. And why did that reset? Did that happen because I reloaded? But it didn't like log me out. It's gonna get me killed in some weird way like that. Bring 8 dig rats to Grub east of the crossroads, but where are they from? Filthy dwarves at Baal Madan are overrun with everyone's favorite feast. Okay, that's not relevant. This isn't relevant. Some of this stuff is just, you know, super old because I didn't want to go to Undercity yet at that time. So all this stuff is fine. So it's actually not that overwhelming, but just the fact that we have so many of these to still pick up is going to be the problem. There's that one escort quest there, but I'm not going to feel obligated like I have to do it right now. It certainly wouldn't be green because the enemies there aren't even green, or maybe they are now, but that seems like a suicide mission. Like, arguably I should have to do it, but I'm a little bit scared. In fact, I won't even be able to pick it up now, though, so let's wait. Yeah, we turn these in. West of the crossroads. Or no, that is the crossroads. Ratchet. We could go do some of these still before we go back anywhere. Like, let's go down here, dip there, and then cut there. And then we could come back, or whatever. We'll go to the crossroads on the way. Ratchet. Orgrimmar. They give you some quests to go to Stone Town so casually, like, oh yeah, just go kill some spiders. Oh, not here, but totally in another zone. Just like, they don't, one of them doesn't even say it's in another zone. It's so stupid. He's like, go to Windshear Crag. Like, he's not saying go to Stone Town Mountains. He's saying going to Windshear Crag. Like, everybody just knows what that is instinctively. I always like Desolate so much, somehow aesthetically. I always liked some of the zones that people would not like to level in too much. Whether it be Desolate, Tanaris I really liked. Kind of hard to say what my favorite zone is. For some reason I almost feel like it was Tanaris. There was just something awesome about it, but you know, some of the Alliance zones you become jaded to, or some of the ones that you've done like a million times. Just, you know, oh, you hate Elwyn Forest now because you've seen it so much. Duratar was pretty good, though. The whole experience of leveling there wasn't bad. A good amount of variety. You got the Echo Isles and stuff. If I was to rank like what the best starting zone is, Mulgore is pretty beautiful, but it's sort of out of the way, so that's maybe a point against it a little bit. The Terrisfall Glades is awesome, just aesthetically, subject matter. Like, that's the one that feels the most badass in Tremont. I'm haunted by this thing everywhere I go. But it's the same guy. Duratar. Yeah, Duratar is pretty good. Elwyn Forest is really good. Terrisfall is really good. Mulgore is decent. So, like, Mulgore and Duratar are mid-tier. Elwyn Forest and Terrisfall are top-tier. Dunmoreau is kind of a mixed bag. That's probably mid-tier as well. So what's the one that maybe nobody likes? Yeah, Teldrassil is garbage. That one just feels out of the way, out of place. Like, I'm not holding against it, like, oh, how convenient the city is to get to whatever. Right, and like how often people go there. But I never liked those zones either, period. Like, Dark Shore and Teldrassil were not particularly interesting to me. Even with some of the cool little old god references and stuff. There's that guy on the beach in Dark Shore. I don't know if that's Sogoth or is that somebody else. That might actually be Sogoth. But like the blade sticking out of his head. They had to get close, so that's why they said, oh, you couldn't use spells on him. Which kind of makes sense as an effect. Actually, some of them are just throwaway weird effects. Is there anything I got that is worth selling? A lot of it is just going to be turned in. There's actually nothing I can sell. We can repair. You can almost repair only at the leather vendor too, just as a show of respect. We could pick up another quest here. Hopefully there's not really too many, but they're going to give us some major chain quests nonetheless. So somehow this guy ends up giving you... No, maybe he doesn't. Like, he'll give you a whole chain quest that tells you go kill the Silithid in Feralis and in Ungoro and stuff. But no, it's just that he's the beginning of it, where it's such amazing foreshadowing. It seems just like a random quest. But the Silithid have more of a presence and are arguably more of a threat than even the Scourge, at least as far as Kalimdor. Kalimdor has 99 problems, but the Scourge isn't one. Because there's really no Scourge presence here at all. They've got demons like the leftovers from Hyjal, and they trickle down into Ashenvale and into Felwood and into Winterspring, right? There's like that demon coven there. So that's all to show like the remnants of Hyjal after the failed attack. That's where they came from. And then you have, you know, the Quillbore, you have the Centaur, you have the, whatever, Twilight Hand and the Old God stuff. You have, you know, lots of crazy wildlife. You have, you know, dragons even. You have, obviously, the Silithid. But nowhere among that are you seeing any influence of the Lich King besides RFK. How many Zebra have you slain? Not bad. The Zebra hold a lot. Well, that doesn't answer the question. I have 4 hooves, but not all of them have hooves, apparently. That's a weird thing, not to have 100% drop rate, right? Like just a body part that they clearly would all have. Strengthen their legs. The sharp kick from that can knock even a Tauren on its haunches. Looks like you have some strength in you, too. Are you ready for a real challenge? Now it's time to go after something that really bites. Prowlers of the Barrens are a tough breed. Tough, resourceful, sly, and deadly. You'll find them among the tall grasses. You'll find many to the southwest of the crossroads. Be wary as you hunt them, or you may find yourself no longer the predator, but instead the prey. We've had a title kind of like that. Collect 7 Prowler claws. So Prowler is just like... Wait, this is Ratchet. Is that like one of the Savannah Highmane type things, or is that... The hyenas wouldn't be called Prowlers. The Orgrimmar's not relevant, so let's just look for... west of the crossroads. So that's west and this will be southwest. So I don't get it. Might not be exactly west. $15 Wrathguard Deathgate. It's like where they're fighting all the Centaur. It's like some ongoing, you know, little, at least I think, right? There's that little like mini war going on. Maybe a little bit near the oasis itself. It kind of diminishes the meaning of it. Like, wow, in every desert there is an oasis, but here there's 3, so it kind of feels less special. I really didn't even remember that or know that off the top of my head. Because the only one you really think of is the one right outside the Wailing Caverns. So let's see. So much walking, but that is going to get nicely improved as we get aspect of the pack. It's not like stuff has been sneaking up on me too much either. So, like, I wouldn't have too much trouble. Okay, this is Huntress, so we don't see the Prowlers yet. Where is this Deathgate guy? There is some, you know, when it says west, I'm taking that too literally. It might be, like, here. Such a badass name for a random NPC who's going to be... Yeah, like where that burnt house is. I could almost use that, but then you'll die to the smoke in your sleep. That'll be our RP explanation for our death. Like how we even accept the fact that the raptor's gone because we starved it out. Like that was sort of a self-inflicted thing, but I didn't know that much. Like, oh, that you don't learn how to feed it. So you let me tame it, but then you make me go all the way to Orgrimmar, which theoretically, even if you do that right away, you tame it in Sen'jin Village area or like near Razor Hill. You have to run all the way to Duratart, learn how to feed it, then have food ready to feed it, and then feed it. So if you don't do that anywhere in that time, it'll get unhappy and run away. But obviously I had no intention even of going to Orgrimmar at that point. Yeah, like my pace of this series is just going to be hard because these episodes aren't that long. This is meant to be a secondary series, like sort of laid back even, but it's just hard. We have duties. Why didn't I pick that up? Probably because how goes your hunting? Nicely done. Give me a 2-hander on par with that. with the twin blade thing. This is unfortunate because that's not actually that good. 1.9, 9 to 18, 10 to 20, 7.5, 7.1. The only advantage is the one agility. So you almost want to just get this just to sell it. Nicely done. I'm sure you struck fear into the surviving centaurs. If they have sense, they'll now calm themselves and stop their advances. But I don't think they will, and that is unfortunate. Unfortunate for them. Good one. The centaurs have plagued the Torn for years, and recently the Kolkar centaurs of the Barrens have grown into a real threat. Normally they were disorganized in these lands, but their leaders have risen among them, new leaders. Rallying them to preserve our holdings here, the centaur must be destroyed. Bring me the head of Barak Kodobane. He camps near the Forgotten Pools to the north. Defeat him, then return to me. Is he the one who almost killed me? I doubt it, because it's not going to be a rare spawn. I feel like they never ask you to kill a rare spawn for a quest, right? Like, even named NPCs notwithstanding, it's not the same thing. So to the southwest, he's saying the Prowlers are at, which doesn't even make sense because, you know, you're kind of bumping into the... Many to the southwest of the crossroads. You're bumping sort of into the thing, into the Wailing Caverns itself. So where did he say that was? Leaders, even though it's just the leader. He camps near the Forgotten Pool, so that's going to be up there. In fact, we should probably just do that first. I'm trying to get actually as much done today as possible. Now I'm going to turn into doing it like it's a speed run, but maybe some of these rules are just incompatible with how I'm doing it. It's a good way to sort of encourage that you have to make progress because you're only going to have so many places to bunk out of. It was with the right mindset. I just didn't realize how slow paced I'd be doing it sometimes. And so that other rule is like, yeah, I can do an RP episode where I stay basically in the same place and don't do any gameplay stuff, aside from like when I got stuff from my pet. And the whole beauty of this is like, who would want to play on a server with all the other people on them? That defeats the whole purpose because now I could get the key and use it on the other thing. Because I almost want to treat it like I can open each one once, and I should almost have to, like a little mini quest. So I didn't open the one I think in the Stagnant Oasis. I opened these two, and I think this was maybe the one that had the axe in it, or maybe it was the other one. I don't know where this guy's gonna be. I tend to not like to look at the thing there, right? Like you see the dots, but that should be good enough. Just because you're an expert hunter tracker doesn't mean that you're able to know telepathically what exactly it is. You just know something's there. Yeah, that sort of diminishes it. The fact that there's 3 oases together. And just sort of in random spots. Talk about clear separation of biomes. Okar Stormer, okay. Little Pat can be a bit scary. The ones with the pets can be annoying, and the ones that run around like crazy, which are also sometimes the ones with the pets. I can't remember actually which one it was that had that. He had his like little encampment, or maybe he is the one. It'll be the same exact chest. That almost feels like too inappropriate level-wise though, or like order-wise. That's almost too big of a deal. Not that it would probably aggro anyway, but it's weird. So it reset my talents and did all this stuff like it was an actual legitimate expansion or update, but it was just to add the other servers. Maybe I will keep this slot as well. That's a lot of commitment though. I was almost thinking we could do a different game altogether, and like we could do an EverQuest 1 to 60, you know, permadeath thing that way. You know, you can do it with other games. It would almost be disingenuous to beat WoW like a dead horse. This was supposed to be a one inclusive, definitive type of thing. I don't actually know where this guy is then. It's not like you have to worry about competing, killing him with somebody else. They do sometimes seem to spawn in just almost random spots. Right, or they'll kind of just vacillate around. You said the Forgotten Pools, but you forgot to mention where exactly he might be. Or she said camped around it, so it might not be like right in it. Or he might roam around. Like, it would help you a lot to find it if you just maybe use this, or it could be here. Or that is the one, isn't it? Or no, this is a different one, but it's like they always have these upper whatever portions to it. So they each have a leader. So it would have made more sense if you send me for each one together here. But no, it's going to make me do each one on its own. Or there's the one you have to like get the guy to be summoned. You kill a particular one and then he says, you know, face me adventurers. Like it's a big deal. Or no, now I'm stand corrected again. This is the one because this is where it was rubbing in our face that we lost the axe or whatever. But clearly, I could take these two together and it'd be no problem. But actually, I'll try not to. Or the bomb would be the perfect way to pull it, but it's kind of hard to do that. It's unbelievable that he wouldn't aggro there. He just doesn't give a shit, huh? He's the one who's the higher level. If you did it in reverse like that, I could understand that the level 13 might not aggro, but that's just kind of weird. Yeah, that was an abrupt sort of intro where I spent a little time in shock and awe of the whole hardcore thing. It's kind of cool, but again, I don't see the meaning in like, why would you want to compete for space on a full server and have all these people grief you and do all these things? And like, it doesn't make sense even at all. I treat this like it's a single player experience, not because I would necessarily always play the game that way, but just because you can do it that way, or it's the most intrinsic way. So you could do that with anything. Right, like I do EverQuest the same way, just like you can't use whatever player trading, auction housing type stuff. Well, what a leader you are. You're going to go all the way to the other camp. So now, if you got a key, you could obviously use this, but I don't even have one. Right, so this was the fateful moment where I thought it'd be a good idea to close the chest and then try to reopen it. When I'm salivating over a green level 10 axe that has plus 10 attack power, like, really a very good thing that would last us potentially to level 30. The level 5 lasts us to level 20. The level 5 axe that we still have. So the linen I'm almost just taking so I can make more of these bombs, but we'll see. I don't like using my quest log this much either, but you know, this much should always be fair. So this was to the southwest. That's going to be in the Lush water and stagnant oases. There's something here just to do with the prowlers, which I don't fully understand. It's to the southwest of the Barren, so it would be like here, or like it's very much close, overlapping with the Wailing Caverns. Maybe there's some other house I'm forgetting about that we could go to, like further closer towards Camp Tarajo, but I can't really think of one. This would almost be perfect as far as the, you know, the burnt house or something. I'm going to stay away from trying to use the bunkers for that purpose, but if it's like a little guard barracks, that's fine. But yeah, last episode was the whole centaur thing. We were going around the camps doing that like it's the whole quest. Is this going to be a prowler? It is. There's going to be a lot hiding in the bushes and stuff. They have a lot of those sort of encounters here, just whatever, the goblins hiding in the bushes kind of gets me sometimes. Of course, I don't have my beast tracking on anyway, so gotta do this manually. I don't think I've used my trap even once. Like, I swear I'm not trying to troll with this, but that's weird that there's only one. He had that whole thing to himself. Yeah, isn't this such a nice, peaceful way of doing it? I'm glad that they're keeping these servers up, but what if they abruptly just don't? But then they'll let you character migrate anyway, which I would not want to do here anyway. I mean, the add-on is just a bonus, but you can obviously see what I'm doing. And like that's what's the funny thing too. Even if I was to play some other time, you can connect the progress together. So it's like, okay, I play. Let's say you log out now with your experience here, and then the next time you see me play, my experience is still here. So even if I played in between those two times, what could I have possibly done? And you can see my bags, you can see my gear, like. You know what I mean? How would it benefit me, really? Or like, yeah, I totally. Let's say you would have died between the two episodes, but how would you even have known that you would have died? Like. Unless you're planning on dying, you would assume you're never going to, and then if it happens, it would catch you by surprise. You can't play around that because you won't know what to play around necessarily. Keeping a little extra bag space is going to be pretty important here. I can just munch on the food. I got maybe a little bit too much of the food of that. So yeah, just fill this sucker up, and then we're going to get a BOE blue at some point to make up for the fact that we won't be able to use it. That'll be the ultimate karma. I got very lucky on the priest. I got a wand that was a BOE blue at some relatively early level. And obviously wands are just a great source of damage for priests anyway, because priests kind of suck that way. But it's a case where you're basically able to... Isn't that like leading in Stone Town? Yeah. Couple prowlers here, at least the drop rate is good. It's almost like they all have claws. What else are they hitting me with? I guess the only way you could explain that is, oh, you, in the middle of the fight, you destroy the claw or get it in such a state, right, like it's not salvageable. But all you're doing is just using it as proof to show them anyway. Like the ultimate grave robber strategy where you can get from level 1 to 60, or like the guy in Mist of Pandaria who didn't leave the starting zone to get to max level or something, just doing mining and stuff. But even before that, there could be a grave robber interpretation. You go around picking up the claws or something off of dead stuff that other people killed, right, just so you wouldn't have to actually kill yourself. Because how could they really verify that? I'm bringing you what you asked me to bring you, but... Or that could be like a whole racket, like, oh, you know that this NPC asked, like, even in universe, you know that they're going to ask you as a test of your metal to show what a strong adventurer you are. You got to go get X number of this random item from a random beast or something. So then there'll be a whole underground black market that sells those things, like helping you cheat on your homework, write your essay for you. This is going to be alchemy, which I don't even have room for. Feels like a shame not to, you know, pick up something that's going to be... I mean, there's no rule against doing this, actually. You're too full to eat more now, but I'm still doing it. What do you mean? Or just that's when it's on the global cooldown, basically. Yeah, I bought maybe a little bit too much extra food there. I was just worried about the boulder load mine, and we got ourselves in a very good situation to get the Cat's Eye Emerald before we even did that. You want to stop by the Oasis and then do the pirate quest, and then we can leave off. But I can't leave off in Ratchet. That's the problem, because we can't rest there. I don't really feel like I got that much done today, but I did so much walking. Just like, is this going to be tin, but I won't be able to do it? What a waste. So we know that any tin vein, right, we wouldn't have necessarily gotten, but sometimes they spawn in the same place as copper vein. So like that... Whatever, like any area we haven't been to is going to count towards that. I think Stone Town is the natural next place we'd want to go anyway. Right, it's not like there's anything on the other side of the map that we would worry about for now. But yeah, the undead areas are vastly superior to the night elf areas, I would say. What is this little burial site? See, all these random spots that don't even have any sort of lore or anything to them, or maybe there's some quest that actually takes you here, but some of it is just sort of random. There was a lot of that in Tenjin Village that just sort of felt very cool. Like a lot of graves of, you know, just show like somebody had a staff near the grave, somebody had an axe near the grave, so that's sort of denoting what class they were, let's say, in life. We're turning it into a no trap run on top of everything else. Wait, what was the other thing? We have the Oasis to do, and we have the Bloodsail Buccaneer thing. So then we would turn in the quest, then we would go to the Crossroads again, then we would pick up all the quests, and then we can finish off. I mean, if I wasn't to finish off next time, then I don't even know what to do. Because some of these are going to be insanely long chain quests and stuff, too. It's not even that, like, I'm in a rush to do it, but... it's hard to find the time to make these episodes longer. This is also going to be the one that we didn't get the centaur key for, or like we didn't open the chest, not this one, but the stagnant one. Yeah, this is the only one that you really think of, and it's the only one that's like a moderate size too. I don't think I've gotten the quest that tells me to pick up those things yet. That guy wants me to go there anyway, but I kind of would have wanted to farm this out. Like, if you give me, well, I can't even pick up the key now. It's not like you get a key ring or something for it. Is he a rare spawn? He's not even a rare spawn. But I mean, how could I possibly take 3 at once here? Almost don't even want to go in the vicinity, but this is where the bomb and the stun could help you. The fact that they're just padding around is a pretty sick trap for you too. There's so many of those great moments too. Like if you're playing, I always love that in my first playthrough permadeath format. You could be playing a game for the first time and there's all these beginners traps that people take for granted. Like, oh, how could you possibly have died to that? But how would you have known, right? It'll be some random pad or some, so you always have to just be on guard and improvise and find a way through it, which I find that very satisfying to do. Or even if I fail to do it, that's the expectation. So like, what's a good example of that? Like a beginner's trap moment that's like, there's a lot of those in Dark Souls, like trial and error, although that would be a little bit insane to do a first playthrough permanent of that. I certainly didn't do it there. In fact, because you expect to die, it's a case where you'd basically say instead, you're going to, you know, do it as a hard mode series still. It's not going to just be a regular playthrough. Because I pretty much never do those. Add a little bit of flair. So like a one stat only character. And then in before, oh my goodness, you got both Black Knight swords and you, like there's always some sort of bullshit. I didn't know what the Black Knight swords even were. But like, okay, I have a strength only character, first playthrough. So I'm only allowed to get strength. And then I get the Black Knight sword and Great Sword. They're like, oh, that makes it too easy. But it's so convenient that I happen to get strength because you're not always going to get those to drop even. And then on the flip side, it's a case where the fact that they move so fast here makes it weird that you could ever run away from them. Like, you know, certain things move faster on their own just padding around than otherwise. You gotta watch out for those stupid night owls on the thing, on the mount. Why are you just going like the whole length of the zone there? But no, it's like, I forgot. It's, what was I saying? These aren't even as high level as you might think, considering how far we are into the zone. What is happening here? Or yeah, you got to use your whole ace play of wing clip. Okay, dude. Gonna be a problem with leashing. I don't know why I was expecting I could just run away like normally. Now we're gonna run into the night owls. In doing this, right? The elite fucking night owls that roam around here. What a clown show moment. So now we don't have a potion. It's almost like a rule that you shouldn't even dick around without it. Like this could be actually a resting place. That won't be Camp Tarajo. This would be perfect actually. Not that I even want to do it yet, but this would be like, let's do these two first and let me see what this even is. I certainly haven't used this yet because I haven't even been here yet. This is where the humanoid tracking actually helps you. But the thing is, they'll be on their mount, so I don't know how much that's going to play a part. Like, they still move relatively slow, but once they aggro, I totally forgot about them too, but then I caught a glimpse of them last time. Yeah, like you'd really feel comfortable sleeping around those anyway. So whether they're abandoned houses or not doesn't even matter. But it's almost like you should be obligated to have to pick up a quest from them to see, right, like, that you're agreeing to do it for the privilege of staying there. Beaten corpse. Boilers. I mean, that would be a scary place to stay, but I'm desperate, I guess. Just investigating the mystery here. The body is that of a female orc warrior. It is clear that she died in battle, probably against a kobold in the area. Yeah, so it seems like a great idea to rest here, huh? And we don't have a pet to look out for us either. We could just take our chances. That would be a very strange one to actually use. You almost shouldn't be allowed to because, yeah, actually, like that one in the burning house. Why would you sleep next to a dead chick like that? The only thing next here would be Camp Tarajo. There has to be at least some feeling that it makes sense. Not only are there no friendly NPCs around, like there often are, but you're also, you have a dead one. Although I don't really see any Quillbore, so. He's playing an alternate version of the game that's like, oh, EverQuest or Lord of the Rings Online, where the aggro ranges don't reset. So she was pulling it all the way across the goddamn map. Yeah, I really hate how, maybe I've said it too many times, but I hate how people treat stuff like this. It could be for any MMO. Just like, oh, they think they're so smart and they know all these things, but it's exactly the same sort of thing. Like, you wouldn't have known it at the beginning. What is this? And obviously for some quests I don't have, but it's weird that it's glowing, even though it's not contextual to me. Like, I can't even do it. But you gotta watch out for those clowns. I almost don't even want to dick around with the centaur, but if I happen to do it and I get the key, then this would be a nice opportunity to get that one. It's almost sort of baiting me to want to do it. Yeah, the fact that they roam around that much is very annoying. Yeah, that stun is such a lifesaver. Now we're haunted by the loss of our pet even more. We get to see these clowns running around with them. We got to kill the turtles, basically, and we don't have even empty rooms, bag space. Or we do. But yeah, the whole playthrough I was dual wielding anyway, because I had the fucking frog in my hand the whole time. That'll keep us company. Or we'll have the mechanical squirrel to fill the void in our heart now. Just something to follow us around. And there's even the sense of security with that you know it can't die. So, or you could always just make another one. So that gives you a peace of mind over even a pet. The trade-off just being that you can't actually do it because, you know, this guy should do 2 damage and have 7 health, am I right? So he should already be dead 100 times over. Always interesting to see what sort of ideas they come up with in the card game context. Altered Snapjaw Shell. There's so few of these that if there were multiple people doing it, right, you would just have to wait because there's hardly even 8 of them, period. Especially if the drop rate isn't particularly good. Now, water can be a weakness for various reasons. You move slower, you could drown, you could forget about the breath thing. You could have trouble with leashing, which I did comically a number of times that I kept complaining about it. Once in Terrisfall with Maud, and then once with... Now watch, you'll send me back here again, and then I do have something to do with the deviate stuff, don't I? Because otherwise, where would it have gone? Or I might have put it in the bank, but like I've fished in those sorts of things before. I don't know what this Death Knight reference is in the hardcore. Like, it's treating it like I'm playing hardcore Wrath, but this is still classic, isn't it? Did they somehow update it and force me to join somehow? Now, yeah, what about hardcore BC? But you won't be able to do it because it's just a clown company that doesn't know when it's in a good spot. Like, you went through all the trouble to do BC and then you just get rid of it. Like, what the fuck? You know, keep one server up. How much or little demand doesn't matter. Like, oh yay, Wrath is coming out and you got to do it. And that's maybe part of what I didn't like about these games, in a sense, as they're coming out. It's like, how are you expected to, I guess there's just this assumption like, oh, well, if you liked it, just play it at the time, all day, every day, and that's just your whole life. But it's like, how were you supposed to play EverQuest and RuneScape and WoW and like everything all at once? So there's always going to be certain people. You played WoW, but you missed out on EverQuest. So now you want a classic EverQuest server just to be able to try it and see what it was like. Oh, but just play the new version. But it's not even about whether one's better or worse than the other. It's the fact that you just want to try something different, right? Like WoW Classic is just different than the other expansions, although there are a lot of similarities basically in the first three. Mainly, you know, I mean, BC is mechanically very similar, like, or just in terms of design and whatnot, it wasn't too far off. The rat did introduce some sort of weird mechanics too, in a way that people didn't like. Dungeon Finder. It's strange to say that's a bad thing because people could just choose not to use it, right? That would always be the, you know, if you don't like it, just don't use it. But it is one of those convenience things that arguably isn't necessary. I mean, the alternative would just be, and the sense of permanence, like on a server, like, oh, you see this guy, you know this guy, it's always going to be the same thing. Whereas instead of sharding and combining stuff, that was always a stupid idea. You sort of get familiar with people, even if you're not trying to make a point of it, or even if you're not super social. There's always this one clown in trade chat that you see spamming memes or whatever. So it creates a sense of community just naturally, a sense of permanence to their presence in the world and whatnot. Not being able to name change, like some of this stuff you could say is design philosophy. Some of it was just sort of incidental, right? Like it just happened to be that way. And so even if it was something that they just forgot about, they didn't think about, it just happened organically, it still can sometimes be effective. Or people will sometimes say, oh, that's nostalgia or whatever. But sometimes it is a minimalistic approach, like less is more. You don't have to, you know, spoon feed every element or make everything super straightforward. And the whole irony of that with this game is that this was considered like a casualized version of EverQuest, and EverQuest itself was considered a casualized version of other hardcore MMOs, whether it be Dark Age of Camelot or Tibia or whatever it was. So it went from those, like Tibia is hardcore in the sense that if you die, you lose levels and you can lose pieces of gear. So imagine whether it be to a player or a PvE encounter. So you'll have Thunder Fury and then you'll die, and then you lose Thunder Fury and you have to get it all over again. Like imagine that happening, or that even being possible to happen. That is so insane. Yeah, I basically ran out of places to stay. I wouldn't want to stay in that one, although that would have been almost perfect, of course. The one house that I stumbled upon in my moment of need and desperation, there's a fucking dead chick laying there. Like, do you really want to mess with this? I wouldn't mind. That's one of the payoffs of the pet, or the prices of the pet. If I had the pet, then I'd feel comfortable because it would protect me and wake me up in that moment. But because I don't have it anymore, and might never have one again, then that's the price I have to pay. Because we have this sort of running trope that every time we sleep in a house, as that's something we have to do anyway every episode, there's always something weird going on. Like the one guy in Fall, he gave us Troll's Blood Potions as a quest reward, so he must have extracted it from us since we're a troll. Where else is he going to get Troll's Blood there, right, in an undead area, as we're going there for the first time, right? He extracted us from it, from us in our sleep, or whatever. Like some peon in the far watch post tried to steal money from us, but our pet was growling at them all night, sticking by our side. Like always, whenever you're sleeping in those houses at night, they could be doing something weird. So now we have to be more careful with those sorts of scenarios, because you're going to not have the ability to... I kind of just want to do the pirate one too, and that could be a good point, but I still don't know where exactly I'm going to rest after that. I'd probably use the one towards Ashenvale, then on the other side, and that might be the last one. I mean, worst case, we could use Camp Tarajo, but that's a big deal, because assuming you'd be using it to do the quest there, not to finish the rest of these. Or it's almost like I should end off in Stone Town. But where is even the town in Stone Town? I don't even remember. For Horde, it's like towards the bottom. The Alliance one is much more annoying. It's all the way at the top. What could I sell? Or I don't even have to, because a lot of what I'm going to turn in is going to consume stuff anyway. How's the search going? I don't know if there were any quests here. Haha, I never thought I'd make more of this stuff ever again. You've stirred me in a great sense of nostalgia. Kind of reminds me of the last time I made a batch of Trog Brew. Oh my god. Thank you. Memories warm my stomach. And now this is sort of a tempting thing that we were sort of trying to overcome. increases your strength by 4, decreases your intellect by 5 for 5 minutes. It's like we were just on the alcoholic binge, so we have to resist the temptation to drink it now. 10's empty keg, good. So our procrastinating kind of cucks us there. We were trying to get into that idea of, oh, we have all these quests related to being a drunk right around the time our pet died, right around I was doing that RP anyway. That almost fit. Good stuff. That Storm Stout. I have another recipe. Like, what a great thing this is, dude. What if I don't do it? I mean, why does it matter? I have another recipe that I learned from Chen. Would you be interested? It won't take too much time, and it might be useful if you plan on venturing some more. Why would being drunk help you with that? Trog brew. Well, where are you going to find trogs here? Increase your health by 23 to 37, but decrease your spirit by 4. Why such a random variance there? 23 to 37. Bring me 5 lightning glands from any storm hide. I thunderhawk saliva gland from greater thunderhawks. What? Oh, 1. I was going to say what? 1 Thunderhawk saliva gland from Greater Thunderhawks and a Kodo liver from the Baron's Kodos. So most of this stuff is like towards Camp Tarajo. Like I said, the stuff is a kick. It's the Trog brew that I mentioned to you before. But what does it have to do with Trogs? I thought it would mean like you have to kill them in order to get some of their stuff to use. I basically don't know. I feel like this is where you're going to get annoyed because it's... These ones are to do with go into the Wailing Caverns and get me something. This guy was trying to get me killed. I remember even saying that. So both of those quests are to do with the Wailing Caverns. The Chen's empty keg is now going to be orange, though, so I'm not going to dick around with that. That's the little noose around your neck. Light Yagami moment.
Time is money.
If only we knew which one of the miners had the emerald to be unlocked in the park. Look at the size of that thing. A sack of coins. Look at that size of the thing. We're going to be rich. Let's see. According to the rates I've seen on gems going to the undermine, I should be able to figure out your cut. 50%, don't worry. Now let's see. I think this should be about right. Pleasure doing business with you. The way he says that almost makes it seem like he's jipping you. Like you wouldn't know the difference. Old money bag, 6-slot bag. No, that's the second bag that we have that is just going to be going to waste because we don't have room in the bank still for it. That's one thing we can't blame the pet for. Like he'll be on pack mule like in Torchlight, where wait, so there's not really that much more, but I mean all this stuff. Wait, didn't we have more stuff to turn in Ratchet anyway? I guess not. Wait, let's just do this one and then we'll rest up whatever that other side is. We'd have to walk all the way back. Holy shit. I can't think of anything else that would make sense here. We could go to that Berserker Island and rest there if that's even allowable, but there'll be higher level stuff in the water or some dumb thing. Berserker Island, as we officially call it. Just like you might call that place in Dustwallow to be Varian Island, because that's where he is and he's lost his memory and shit. It was an interesting decision at the beginning of WoW to have Stormwind have this little kid there as basically the king, even though Bolivar's there and stuff. It just shows you Bolivar's a good dude, though. He wasn't doing it to usurp power and actually trying to be the leader. But then he's also sort of an unaware clown who's, Onexia's toying with. It would have made, like if they were husband and wife, then it would have made less sense because you would have been... I don't know if this is like supposed to be on the boat or what. Maybe I should read it during combat. That never got me in trouble before on my rogue in Lord of the Rings Online. I get too complacent sometimes. One of my biggest weaknesses. So all the rest of these you turn into the crossroads, which we should stop by, I guess, on the way back up there, and then I'll do that. And then I'll try to pick up the rest too, so at least we have a game plan for next time. So next time I want to end off like in Stone Talon. Right, that would be the perfect way to go. That's what's going to be so hard about this, is you have to find those houses, but there are more of those than maybe you expect or give them credit for. There'll always be like a little goblin hut, or there'll be something in these zones. It's just not something you really think about, because nobody really plays like this or cares about that. Head down to the pirate camp and see if you can find them. I mean, I assume he's even saying the camp, and these are so unbelievably low level that for once I'm actually going to not carve a path through. I don't know why I feel like they'd be on this ship. Or I forget how you even get on these. Like, you jump on like from the side or something. It wouldn't be something that randomly drops from these, that's for sure. Ancestral boots. Or it could be like some named NPC. It's kind of weird doing it like this because you feel kind of like you should have to fight through them, but it doesn't really do anything for me either. It's not like I'm farming experience from them. But this quest isn't great, that's the thing. Sometimes those measurements are a little deceptive, or it should almost change that too. Just if you're able to, oh fuck, if you're able to be drunk, right, it should mess with your quest interpretation too, where they'll all be different colors than what they actually are. Oh my god, can you actually do it like that? Little jumping puzzle. Everybody hated those in Half-Life 2 because it just felt like that wasn't meant to be what the point of the game was about. Imagine you're doing a permadeath run of that and you die. Clearly couldn't be me. That was a really annoying one to do, though. Random elite or something down here? What is this place? Buccaneer strongbox. Oh yeah, this is a good place for rogues to train. But there should always be some enemies in here at the same time. How can there just be nobody here? Nice little cozy place. We could almost sleep here if that was somehow allowable, but it is actually technically an enemy-free area. This hide is a stowaway. That's weird. There's literally nothing here. Like, obviously, they give you these places for rogues to dick around, but I didn't know that, you know, they put nothing here. Okay, there's one that in Durnhold Keep, all these kind of, I can't really remember all of them, but there's one actually out at sea here too. Or maybe that's like more in the Duratar. You don't actually have to go to Northwatch Tower. That'll be for a quest later on. I'm almost avoiding the yellow quest like the plague, but it's mainly because we have so many other ones and I do kind of want to do all of them. There's totally going to be some other quest in Ratchet that maybe I missed, but I don't really see how. The problem is so often I can't even pick them up because we're just in such a weird spot. So I don't know actually where this is going to be. I already went through this area before, I think, even with this quest. Or no, maybe that's the next extension of it. Shouldn't you be doing a little more since they're just such low level? But it is pretty satisfying, actually. You get to see all these exciting numbers. Like, sure, your numbers would be a little bit higher, but hard to say which would actually be better. I guess it just depends on the quality of the weapons themselves, but that's going to play a part in terms of... I don't have a potion, so despite these being lower level, you still have to be careful. Using range, the ultimate cardinal sin that I take such personal offense to, as a hunter who always betrays that aspect of being a hunter. So many disadvantages that we're up against in our life. But basically by choice, because we saw the evil that range can cause, that it killed our pet, so we'll never overcome that. When we were younger, right, our father killed it, by mistake obviously, but we saw that, and then we saw, as we got older, basically, that, or no, like just how our clown inability to keep our pets has been traumatized. It's almost like it should be a three-strike rule. Really, the only official rule for me is just the fact that you have to not, when you lose a pet, you can't revive it, obviously, so you have to start over. But also, you can't get another pet of the same type. So it's possible if you lost enough of them, not that that should really happen, you know, you can never get another wolf now because I lost the wolf, or you can never get another raptor. So within any particular category, some of them might be fairly innocuous where there's not too many kinds of them anyway, but raptor is a pretty broad thing, so... So we've gotten a couple bags. This one I would actually want to keep, though, because that's like a Link bottle type of thing. Give me a... Or not really, though. Or maybe it is. Like, he gave us a sack with the gems in it, and then we get to keep the sack. So the real value of that is, you know, like in Zelda, they'll give you a bottle of milk But what's valuable isn't the milk. That's a one-time use. But it's actually... Fragile, do not drop. Those must be the ones. The real value is the bottle itself, because you only get 4 of those and they're so super rare, apparently. That almost looks like the other one, but unless that has both, they wouldn't make you go any further into here. That's going to be Northwatch Keep. And of course, these whole fortresses have Jaina's family's fingerprints all over them, like the Proudmoores and the Culturas and stuff. Because they're really doing a great job keeping the pirates at bay, am I right? Literally on the bay where they're supposed to stop them from going. Huh. Maybe I missed the other one. Or I almost saw like a wrench icon back there. Floating debris. Yeah, I feel like this just ends off there. Look at this. I'm losing to a level 14, and I'm going so goddamn much today, too. What am I doing besides Raptor Strike? Like, being a melee hunter is more mana consumptive than you could have thought. Oh, here we go, dude. Could be a little bit bad. Don't have a potion. Even as low level as these are, you can't really underestimate it. I don't want that linen to make another stack either, because that could get me in trouble. I almost didn't even want the linen at all, but it's just necessary. They should be in 2 different spots, you would think. Or no, it's going to be like over there, maybe. Baron Longshore. Why do I feel like that guy was somewhere before last time? He was like, he was like in one of the camps over there, and I think I even killed him. Just, even though I didn't have to. Just gonna... kill steal him from somebody who's actually doing the quest for that. Or what's going to happen is we're going to end up missing a rare spawn at some point, just because I don't expect, like, it's not going to look like one, or there's so many that we've actually gotten throughout the course of this run. More than you would ever get actually normally. Certainly more than you get on the actual proper hardcore servers. So they only have 2 of those, which is kind of surprising that you would do it that way. But yeah, speaking of dying underwater because you're so distracted by the combat that you forget about your breath. The same thing can happen with fire. You're just standing in it. That'll do the difference between almost dying. Uh-oh. I just kind of fucked up. This clearly wouldn't despawn and cause me trouble because... Fuck. But I could just eat the rest of this, as weird as that seems. We're not going to really need much more food, or like I said, it's going to go bad anyway, so that's a pretty fair thing that you can't carry it over till next episode. That was especially relevant with the pet, for the simple fact that you can't stockpile food for him. You got to always keep that as a responsibility ongoing. I forgot about the reload reminder. That's maybe what I could just do with it the whole time. Keep it there, and I don't really care. Like, why should I have to do that? Is it going to be here? It could be in the chest, but I doubt it. He could actually drop it, but I also don't think that's going to be the case. He doesn't really give you any idea of where it's supposed to be. Powerful brew. I mean, I don't want to waste that either, but just use all these random buffs. Buff items are actually going to be relatively relevant. That's an annoying combination of enemies for sure. They all aggro together, or that's actually perfect because the least consequential ones aggro together. And now here you're allowed to use Mongoose Bite as much as you want because, you're like Batman, just dodging multiple guys, using the momentum of the dodge to hit them back, like some kind of cape, whatever it's called. Like some sort of cape attack like that he does. There it is. The Emporium, I assume. Rusty Warhammer, Ice Cold Milk, doesn't matter. That I definitely want. That I almost don't even care about. Bolt of Linen. Now, see, what if I need that for something engineering related? It's possible, and this might be the only one that I ever get or something. It almost feels like I could just do away with the rest of the bomb somehow. But you're going to have to do that anyway, just for the fact that I hear you pirates like cannonballs, like how, you know, oh, you goblins like bombs, so that doesn't work quite as well. Or I could eat the rest of the meat. Yeah, now they'll send me on a quest to kill this guy again, right? So come back here for a third time. That is sometimes the annoying nature of how these quests work. Time for a reload. I skipped the last one, too. Now's not really the time, dude. Shipment of boots. You could eat through all this, or I could just throw the other bomb away. Or I could do both, and that would allow me to... At least we recovered our little potion stash. We've been spamming the shit out of those. But at least I've been willing to basically do that. This almost seems like a cheap thing to do, but you could always destroy it in a fire. Which arguably this fire isn't big enough. It's got to be like a proper bonfire. You should start to throw up there. You almost shouldn't be allowed to do that. Everything's supposed to be RP intensive, so you wouldn't be able to eat 20 of those even if you tried. Resist. Level 14 is resisting me. Oh, maybe that's because she has experience in the field of bombing, as I was even saying. I hear you like your cannonballs. Yeah, just like goblins should be resistant to explosions and stuff based on that criteria. Well, whether that means you should be resistant to it or whether you should be more skilled with doing it, I can't really say. Lone Booty, Gazlo, of course. A lot of these characters you'll know just from Hearthstone cards, if nothing else, or at least they become more notable there because you see them. They get more screen time and sense of personality from that than here. Not that you don't have dialogue and stuff, but just the voice acting and whatever. People will associate them with that more than anything. Shouldn't really, or yeah, I even said you should try to avoid killing your own kind that way. But whatever. The same way that I discourage my wolf from both eating wolf meat, but also, you know, you don't want to encourage cannibalism. We stay away from the voodoo and those type of tendencies, and even the tendencies of the undead. But no, that whole meat eating scenario was a little bit weird. Maybe I shouldn't do that in the future. I shouldn't really get that much. Like 20 would have been enough. I just chomped through 2 stacks just because I, you know, can't really destroy it at will. You can always make a campfire yourself to be able to do it. Yeah, so much of our shit is just quest items, and I don't have enough room in my bank for them either. But it's a case where, you know, we're waiting to give that back to Undercity or something. Really? Level 13, dude. Yeah, I'm totally farming, even though I'm not getting experience from these. So you could argue, like, how that's even helping me. You should always get through the rested part of it, but every episode that you're getting from not even being in an inn, but that's a week's worth of time, I guess. Which actually isn't that bad, all things considered, considering you're not even going into a rested proper zone. But what is up here? But basically what ends up happening is I almost don't want to level up because I want to have this be a bookmark where, see, unfortunately, turning all these quests in will give me a lot of experience, though. Because then stuff that is now yellow will turn green, and then I'll be obligated to do it too. So you're almost trying to game the system. But it'll be very hard not to level up from even doing these or turning them in. So now there's going to be a lot that's going to be picked up in the barrens, in the crossroads. Technically, it's not incorrect, but what is this? Well, they haven't sent me to go here, so I didn't even know this was really here. Zan. See, what's so special about this guy to be a named NPC? Just like he's level 13 like the rest. That's often how they would distinguish. They wouldn't make stuff elites. They would just make them higher levels, or they would do both, like in dungeons. Like Oldemon is notorious for that, right? Like he's a level 51 or something crazy, or like whatever. He's higher than what you're expected to be there. I can't remember. So that's supposed to make it hard, but that's almost the same philosophy as a raid boss. Like, oh, he's a skull. You got to get hit cap and stuff, but you wouldn't expect to do that. Yeah, I don't think I've used my trap a single time today. It's got to get in the habit of it more. For some of these fights, it doesn't feel worth it. It either feels too elaborate, like, oh, you better set it up better and do it like a real whole like RP scenario that you're really trapping them, or it's just not necessary because you'll kill them so easily anyway. But again, some of these more tight encounters where it comes down to you're getting down to like 20-30% health, you should do it. There's no downside. Like, it's not that mana consumptive, is it? 50. I'm wasting that on every other goddamn wing clip superfluously. We shouldn't be dealing with necessarily humanoids too much, so we can switch to beast tracking. That was the correct one for that area, though. So all I'd like to do, we could do the stupid reload, which, I mean, this is really stupid. How is it even doing that? Like, what's it doing there? Character activity is being monitored, but I assume it was being monitored the whole time. What do you mean? 97.6%. So I don't know what that 2.4% could be. It could just be DCs, but I don't think I really DC'd, because the only time I can think of, sometimes the stream would crash, for example, but so yeah, that could be totally time you cover it up, because the stream will crash randomly throughout the course of a stream, right throughout the course of an episode, and then I'll die right then, because I knew that was going to happen, right? I knew the stream was going to crash, so I would die right when it crashes afterwards and cover it up, and then come back, because that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Baron Longshore, oh shit. At least now we know where to find him, even though I've killed him twice already. Captain of the Heedless Baron Longshore of Gilneas, really? Leads vessels from the South Sea freebooters and is wanted on charges of piracy. Remains must be in identifiable condition. So does he secretly have the ability to become a Worgen? How is he of Gilneas? Because the whole Worgen thing was going on the whole time. It's just you don't get to go in there to see it until... Like, there's something actually magical about the way they do that. You could say it's unfinished content and, oh, you're shilling for them to say that. But they had so much of this stuff in their back pocket, right? They knew the Blood Elf areas were there, the High Elf areas. They knew that, you know, you have that wall. Like, it's on the map. They had all this stuff. There was empty room for Oldham. Like, there was just so much. And it's not like the game didn't feel complete without that, but... I guess I could go back and try to get him, but I almost don't even care. Let's just look. Yeah, see, it resets that, so it makes it seem like you're logging in and out, but you're not. How did they even manage to do it like that? Let's turn everything into... or whatever. Let's just go up to the north and rest, and then we can do that next time. Yeah, next time has to be the last Crossroads episode. I don't know how it couldn't be. Like, for now, and then we can do Camp Taurajo later. I don't want to have to stop in Camp Taurajo either, because then we'll have stuff to do there. Basically, whatever I come across is what I like to do. If I do get to 22, maybe I'll go back to Orgrimmar and get Aspect of the Cheetah, which would be nice. Now, at least the money that we're getting, we should be able to keep, because somehow you'd be able to... you'd basically be able to not be an alcoholic anymore. Mana potions don't matter. This is pretty much what we already have. 7.2. That's a main hand, which is actually more damage than mine. 10 to 20. Or, I mean, it's fucking two-hand. Is this that same one that we saw before? But it's not the grave thing, is it? Just the same design on the rocks. Oh yeah, I didn't even turn that into Gazlo either. There's a lot of just walking around here that we're doing. I should have really done that. I should have done that and the Baron Longshore one, but I guess I'm expecting that we'll have enough to turn in the Crossroads to pick up all the rest of the ones in the Crossroads, but I don't know, because so many of them are chain quests anyway, so then you won't ever have room. But at least if it leads to, like, the Wailing Caverns, then I just don't have to do it. Those are, like, the two exceptions, right? I don't have to do yellow and orange stuff and up. At least not during the initial course of doing the area. Like, I'll still pick them up and I can do them later. And a lot of the time I will do them anyway, but this zone is just too overwhelming. I'm just trying to do the best I can with it. But, yeah, we have 4 talent points committed towards traps, and we're not even using them at all. And the only trap I have, obviously, is the fire one for now. I think we had the option to get the ice one, but I didn't want to bother with it. Because the whole idea is you'd use it when you're fighting two things at once, but you don't even want to fight two things at once. This is maybe a bit of an awkward thing. Like, we'll go there, we'll stay there, and then we'll walk back, we'll turn everything in, we'll pick everything up, we'll finish those two quests, we'll finish all the rest of them, then we'll rest in Stone Town. Again, even if I'm not done, well... So, like, I would just rest there, but that doesn't mean I would be starting there. I don't know. I'll have to do, like, a super long one maybe next time. The Barrens is just nuts in that regard. We're ignoring a lot of stuff, too, and then I'll get to level 22, and that'll fuck me over because then I'll have to do everything else, too. All the yellows will become green. I think that's a pretty fair rule, though. Because if you're doing all the yellow ones too, then you'll just be here forever, which is fine, but then it's not compatible with that sort of rest condition. Yeah, it's going to get a lot harder to do this as you get to higher levels. In fact, it's almost unrealistic. Like, I'll either have to do super long episodes, because there's no requirement as far as how fast you're leveling. You can take your time, but you're going to run out of places to be at. I've only broken that rule twice, and once was because I was on Wi-Fi and I was too scared to go outside of Orgrimmar. So we just slept on the doorstep of Orgrimmar, basically, which typically that wouldn't be allowed. You'd have to be in a building at least. And then the second time was that RP episode, which that technically is fine, because I didn't really go anywhere or do anything aside from feeding the pet, which kind of maybe ruins it a little bit, but... Yeah, there's some buildings on the other side of that goblin chick, and I think that's fair because there's at least enough distance between them, or they feel like they're on just different parts of the map because of the mountains between them. But ordinarily, you can consider that one spot only that you shouldn't be able to use too. But yeah, some of these aren't even in this area in the first place. 10 Theramore medals, even though these clowns aren't worthy of even being able to go to Theramore. Yeah, that could be their ultimate challenge. Try to get back there on foot. They obviously must use, whatever, sea vessels to get there, but those things are fucking level 40 and you guys are level 20. How would you even manage to do that? Yeah, this is such a weird category on Twitch too because it's combined all together. Even if there's two versions of the game, classic and regular, like retail, but it just lumps it all in together, so it's like very unclear for purpose. And imagine if they did have every expansion available, it's almost like each one could have its own category. At least do one for classic and do one for retail. Never mind classic Wrath that could be lumped in with classic 2. Then there could be classic, and then there could be hardcore classic. I guess you could say that's what tags are for, but... This is the chick. Or wait, did I ever stay in the one that was... There was this guy... I can't remember. This is the goblin chick. Well, whatever. There's a house here in the middle, and then there's another thing, so we'll consider those two kind of together. I don't think I ever stayed in this guy's one, though. There's like a little orc vendor here who also gave me a quest to do with beer or something, or maybe he was selling it. We're sort of obsessed with the whole alcohol idea for a couple episodes. Just everything was sort of tying together into it, too. You're fighting pirates. You're doing quests that mention it. You're somehow... It just felt like such perfect timing for that to happen. And all this walking, though. Fuck. Yeah, like, how big is this zone, really? I'll have to do a manual comparison of that to see. Yeah, you could use this. Or maybe there is nothing there and I'm wrong. I was saying, like, there'd be buildings here. But, huh. Well, whatever. This one should count. I don't think I've used that. But no, this might just be harpies and... Huh. I'll just go to Ashenvale and rest there. Yeah, this I might actually be wrong. I thought there were buildings here and everything. There's just harpies and raptors and stuff. Why did I feel like there were two adjacent paths that you could go down that both had like houses and stuff in them? I guess I'll count this as separate because it's in still enough between them. Why do I feel like I've used this one before too? I don't think I have. That would be breaking the rule in almost a disqualifying way, which again, I'm kind of doubting my ability to even keep up with that one, but let's make him happy. We'll sell him our level 5 axe in return. Fiery cloak, +5 fire resist. Sell him like a little dagger. Just to earn our keep here. We basically should have given it to him for free though. I don't think I've been up here. I honestly can't remember though. When would I have been? Because last time we slept in the goblin chicks thing. This time we did. Yeah, where did we do it this time? Where did I start? It wasn't the goblin chicks this time. I can't even remember. Whatever, I'm pretty positive I haven't used this. But it's almost so close to the other one, it almost doesn't feel like you should be able to. Yeah, next time has to be the Baron's ending. By which I mean still, there's plenty more to do. That's a good way to segue it too. Like if you do run out of places to go there, then just do it in such a way that you basically get to end off in a different zone that you would be starting then the next time. Like how we did that Orgrimmar episode, then we end up leaving off in Silverpine. Yeah, I don't like to feel like I'm rushing through or speed running some of these quests, but there's just way too goddamn many here.